Willing?
Can we be ready or willing?
I don't want to bash 13.
Thank you. That makes you one of like 5 people that don't, so we appreciate that. Lude, do you want to count us down from 54, or how do you want to do this?
I think we'll just start from 5 instead. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Go! Alright, the game has a small autosave mechanic, so I'll just have to set that up and skip a couple of cutscenes, and then we'll go right into the story so far. I don't know if anybody wants or is trying to avoid spoilers for 13, but I have a ridiculously condensed version of catching us up to the story if anybody wants to hear it.
Is it 30 minutes or less?
It's probably about 60 seconds to explain.
Then let's hear it, just so we can get caught up on Lightning Returns, which is 13.2.2.
Yes, this is actually the third part of the 3-game trilogy, not to be confused with several other movies and stuff that like to do 4-part trilogies and 5-part fourlogies and stuff like that. So, Lightning is a soldier in the army. Her sister has some issues. She goes to try to rescue her, and she finds a plot by the government where they are trying to summon God by murdering the populace. Thankfully, it has a happy ending, and we stop it. Unfortunately, that happy ending is... What am I doing? That happy ending is such a big deal that the world goes crazy, and the sequel picks up on her sister Sarah doing some wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey stuff, trying to save the world. We jump 500 years forward. You do actually kind of do the thing, but it doesn't work how you want it, and spoiler alert, her sister Sarah dies. That's the sad-ish end to 13.2. 500 years go by, it's now the end of the world, and Lightning has suddenly returned. Roll credits. Ding!
And as the result of what happened in 13.2, the chaos spreads through the world, which stops people from aging and also stops new people from being born, which is why 500 years later everyone looks the same, because they don't age anymore.
So the battle system's quite a bit different than 13. There's no longer a stagger meter in the top corner with a numerical value. When you hit an enemy with a spell or a physical attack, by their hit points you'll notice little waves forming, either blue, yellow, or red. And once the waves reach a certain point, you can end up staggering the enemy. In 13, some enemies don't always stagger with spells. Some enemies have different stagger conditions, like doing a perfect guard, using physical attacks, or magic attacks. And when you stagger enemies, sometimes they give you certain properties like increased physical damage or increased magical damage for a short amount of time, sometimes anywhere between 10 seconds to 3 minutes, what we'll find coming up for the donation incentive.
Running straight into the chaos?
I know y'all said they didn't age, but I thought, Hope just had an amazing skincare because he is still a child again.
That is actually a plot point that we can explain when we get up to it, but that's, yeah, he aged so well he actually went backwards. It's kind of crazy. I do have to warn people, the story to this game has in some cases been found to be toxic to humans, so sometimes there will be a disclaimer when that sort of pops up, but, we're trying to give this game a good showing.
Unfortunately, we can't turn off Hope's dialogue, so you get to enjoy the sweet, sultry voice of Hope's tones during the course of this run.
We apologize for that.
Some of us run it with the Japanese audio pack, just so we don't have to listen to Hope's voice. The Japanese voiceover, I don't know, in my opinion, is much better than the English one. I don't know if it's because I can't understand what he's saying, or...
I know it's because I can't understand what he's saying, but that's okay. It's still a really good game. So
here we have, we call them tutorial Zultis. So this is your first tutorial on how to stagger an enemy. So Sharkie's going to do 1 blizzard, 1 thunder, 2 blizzards, 5 thunders, block, and you'll notice when he hits Zoltus's head, the numbers turn yellow. When that happens, it means you do double damage. You're basically hitting an enemy's weak point. So Zoltus's first stagger was with spells, and then the second one was doing damage to his head.
And there's one difference of Lightning Returns versus the sequels right there, is that there are tiers of stagger.
So often when you stagger enemies, sometimes you'll get debuffs or debuffs you can't inflict. Unprotected will give you more physical damage. Unshelled will give you more magic damage, and they also stack with D-shell and D-protect. So there are certain enemies where
What do you mean?
the battle system for like damage multipliers is very much like 13 and 13-2. You just stack as many multipliers as you can on top of each other, and you just end up doing such ridiculous damage with such low stats.
If you have an affinity and or a fear of kaleidoscopes, you're going to either enjoy or hate the next few hours. There's going to be several spots like this where it jumps up because we're going through cutscenes between the day. So if there's donations, if there's questions, Val, if you want to jump in here at any point, please feel free to cut our silliness off.
Well, like you said earlier, the name for the angel is going to be cut off at the 30-minute mark, so make sure you get those in. Right now, Steve is winning with $11. Natara's meme is at $10 because I am not going to try to pronounce that. And Valkyrie is in third with $5. Or if you want to choose a color for the Midnight I cannot talk at this time in the morning. Midnight Mauve Garb. Orange is winning by $10, and no other colors have been selected.
Good.
Or orange is the only color you need.
Orange, you glad we selected orange?
There's also, of course, the incentive for Dragon Ball Z Legend of Super Saiyan, which I'm not quite sure when that cutoff is, probably somewhere towards the end of this run. But we have the Super Saiyan, which is at $30 of 150, and you have to have the dramatic DBZ sacrifice. Right now, our silly little clown child, Chaosu, is in first place with $5.
So the pacing of the game is much different than 13 and 13-2. They added a time mechanic into this game, a time mechanic and a day mechanic. So at every day, when the day ends at 6 a.m., you get teleported up to the Ark. In the Ark, the time doesn't move. Every day you'll end up getting new equipment, new garbs, new EP abilities. It was an unpopular decision for some of the gamer base. Some people liked it. This game does have a New Game Plus function. So it's kind of one of those things where you get to a point, you learn from your mistakes, you use the New Game Plus, which keeps all your stats, your weapons, your garbs, your items. And you can just keep replaying the game that way.
Or if your first time you ever played it was a speed run using a few-year-old notes, you kind of just roll with it. I'm actually going pretty close to a route that Lude did. I believe it was last year over at RPG Limit Break, which was a amazing run, which I did really bad commentary for. So
to return the favor, I am here to give him really bad commentary.
You asked for this.
You're the best.
Well, either it's really bad commentary for a good run, or really good commentary for a bad run. We'll find out.
Either way, it'll be entertaining.
So you don't gain stats from the Crystarium like 13 and 13-2. There is no leveling. You gain stats from either fighting a main boss or doing quests. So you really can't do any power leveling. The most you can do is there's an ability that we're going to be learning in just a little bit called Chronostasis. It costs 1 EP and it freezes time for half an hour in game. So if you ever felt like pressured for time, you can just pop a boatload of chronostasises. Large enemies like Xaltis will always give you 2 EP. Medium-sized enemies give you 1, and then smaller enemies, it varies. So we're just going to be fighting the 5 main bosses. When you finish each one of the 5 main bosses, you also get an extra day. So normally you can only progress until day 6. When you get to day 12, you get access to the final day, which opens up the path to the final boss.
So, of course, because time is so precious and the world is about to end, right
We're
after...
going to do a lot of sleeping.
Yeah, I'm going straight
She
to
needs
bed.
she needs her beauty sleep.
No kidding. I'm too nervous to look at my notes. I think I did everything right there.
Yeah,
so-
you're good. So that shop was good. So Sharky bought some Phoenix Downs and Warriors potions. The Phoenix Downs are for selling. They're worth 640 gil each. And the Warriors potions give you Bravery and Faith for 30 seconds. Bravery increases physical damage by 50%. Faith increases magical damage by 50%.
Welcome back, Light.
We'll be using them just for 2 area, just one enemy and a boss, or a plot boss, I guess. And any items you buy in the Ark cost EP. So since on the first day we really didn't fight anything, instead of just having the EP go to waste, we use it for money.
Hope insists that we talk to him here so that he can explain some of the mechanics of the day, but we're going to skip that because, hey, talking is slow. And we're warping right back to where we started. Day 2 is coming up. If I remember right, the basic idea here is we are going to sleep until 1 o'clock. We're going to take a train to another town. We're going to unfortunately get stuck with a few unskippable cutscenes while we're there, so you'll have to bear with us for those. And then once we get to the end, we're going to warp back to where we came from and go pick a fight with a bunch of cult members, because reasons.
So, because of the chaos at the end of 13.2, like it was mentioned, the goddess of death died, which also let the unending chaos eat up the world pretty much. So the world is very shrunken down now. There's Luxarian, Yusnon, Dead Dunes, Wildlands, and that's all that's really left of the world is just these 4 areas. So each area kind of has its own little region boss.
And some of them will be familiar faces.
Maybe.
I mean, there's no way that we'll see other people in this game.
I don't know, man. I think you'll be sorry on that one.
So we're heading to Yusnon in order to progress the quest here a little bit. We do need to go here at least once earlier on in order to unlock... We need to get a sneaking in ticket in order to go into a region that we have to go into. I'm being so descriptive here. But we need a ticket before 18 o'clock one of these days. And it doesn't matter when you purchase the ticket, just that you have it. So we're going to purchase it now and use it like an hour later. Real time, not in-game time.
Yeah, you might have noticed in the first couple of minutes that we were chasing after Snow there. We're locked out of his palace, and we've got to figure out a way to sneak back in.
We also pick up a garb here that's available at the very beginning of the game that we're going to be using for about 85% of the run. It's called Velvet Bouncer. It has strength.
One sec, Dine. This is not skippable. Oh, jeez. I'm so sorry. That was my alarm to wake up for work.
I mean, you started off with a game that has you sleeping. I think it
Meow meow choco chow.
Unfortunately, those little scenes are not skippable, and they are very important. So
What?
I apologize
Yes.
for the
Yeah.
interruption.
No, you don't. You're not sorry.
All right, you're right. I'm just being polite.
So the Velvet Bouncer garb has plus 10% the strength built into the garb, and its ability it has with it Blitz also has an automatic plus 80 strength. So Blitz for 20 ATB is
Here's
2.1
another one.
times your attack. It's incredibly powerful early on, especially once we start using end potions.
Meow meow choco.
So here, when we come back to Snow's Palace after the sneak in, we're going to need some fireworks. There's a couple of different ways. One of the really nice things about this game is it's not really linear. You can do really casually, you can do anything in any order. It doesn't matter. In a speed run, there are quite a few different routes. Sharkie is running a slightly different route than a couple of the PC runners. But you can really just, the possibilities are very open.
Yeah, this game does have a small but active speedrunning community to it, and if any of this seems like fun and you'd like to try it, we would love to have more people that play the game. So, yeah, a couple of PC runners that are really good. D-Wins is one of them. King SPI currently has the world record, so he is... wow, okay. That's
Oh, nice.
Where am I? This is fine. This is fine.
Oh, he followed you.
Yeah, usually jumping up there will de-aggro the enemies for some reason.
That's
But-
never happened before.
Trademark.
Yes. And then we've got one more. We've got two cutscenes coming up. One I can skip, and unfortunately one I can't. So we'll let that audio play real quick.
So talking with the knowledgeable tourist is what triggers the ability to purchase the sneaky in ticket, which is rather weird, but that guy
Yeah.
says, "Oh, maybe if you had a ticket, you would be able to get into the palace."
Let's
And
sneak
because-
around. He's wearing pink with symbols and all
People
kinds of
want to
crap.
see them. And it looks
here-
like there's a
here we
back
go.
route that people without IDs can use to get inside.
Choco, Chocobo, it's time to tell. What are the magic words?
Meow meow choco chow.
Ah, that was adorable. Here, this is for you.
I like how Lightning gets more and more annoyed every time she has to say it. So talking to the Chocobo chicks, when you talk to all four of them, they give you a garb called the Makote dress. Anyone that's ever played Final Fantasy XIV will get the reference. In the speedrun route, it's not needed, but because of the donation incentive, it is very much needed, which we'll touch more onto that when we get to the fight.
Yeah, I'll let you jump back in, Lead. I think there was something you were saying before I cut you off there.
No.
Okay.
No, we're good.
And I ran out of my running gauge. Okay, now we can do the thing.
So the old
Oh
route,
no.
This is
You
a very
have-
awkward time to run out of running.
yeah.
Don't quit the run. We're just gonna do this again. This is fine. I didn't hit the right one.
So there's two ways to do the fanatics. One is to follow them to the
Oh gosh.
phone booth,
All right,
and the
this
other way
fine.
is to fight them. The old routes used to follow them. I think it was like 30 seconds slower.
This is going to be a lot of seconds slower, but that's fine. We routed in some extra time here just in case I do dumb things.
So what you want to do in this fight is immediately overclock, do 2 blitzes, guard, 2 blitzes, guard. And what that does is if you do the guard finisher, you'll end up throwing the fanatics up in the air. So by doing 2 guards or 2 blitzes and a guard, you stop the finisher from happening, which keep everyone just nice and close together.
Yeah, I got nervous and I hit the wrong one, so that's not going to clear out that group. This will.
It's very easy if you're just spamming the button to let go of that finisher.
Ooh,
any-
Sickle of the Faithful.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm going to sell that because I don't know what it does.
So any finisher, any physical finisher, is a 20% damage increase.
You threw your
This game also has a nifty mechanic called perfect attacks and perfect guards. So sometimes you'll notice when Sharky executes an attack, there's almost like a glowing orb around him, and that indicates a perfect attack. It's a 6-frame window, and that also boosts your damage by 20%. Spells, it'll boost it by 20%. If you end up guarding, hitting guard 6 frames before an attack hits you, you can completely just make yourself immune to that damage. There's three or four attacks in the game that bypass that. 2 of them, I think, are on the last boss.
So Val, how are we doing so far when it comes to donations and stuff like that?
Well, we currently don't have any donations, but if we can reach the Super Saiyan Vegeta, I will definitely impersonate him and go. Everyone knows. But another little thing about our, couple other things about our charity, Take This. If you would like to continue supporting Take This after the marathon, they have a Patreon account at patreon.com/takethisorg, where you can pledge your support on a monthly basis. If you shop on Amazon, you can support Take This via the Amazon Smile program, or Amazon Smile Foundation will donate a percentage of your purchase to Take This. And then also, if you buy games at HundleBundle.com, you can choose Take This as your charity of choice to support with your purchases.
Yeah, I just learned about this charity when I found out the marathon, and it seems like a really great idea with some really great people behind it, so I'm really happy to get to support it in some way.
It's absolutely amazing to be able to support this charity. It's very near and dear for me, so it's definitely greatly appreciated that I get to help out with the marathon.
Yeah, I'm just looking at my notes here. It says day 3. Once you get to the Ark, just leave. So day 3 is going to be fun. We're going to try to unbundle the mystery of the telephone booth after we take a nap to 1 o'clock again. Once we get done with that, we're going to run south to the other train station, go play around in the desert, try to fight some fish for a drop, which may or may not cost us some time here. And then we'll just bundle up some more stuff for story things that we're not supposed to know about yet.
So the reason we're supposed to follow the fanatics is they say a number into a phone, and they're allowed into the secret meeting place. So the first digit, because we're speedrunners, we know the first digit is somewhere between 1 and 3. The second digit's between 4 and 6. The third digit's always 0, and the fourth digit is between 7 and 9. Older routes used to check 2 numbers. All the newer routes just check 1 number. So we potentially have 9 choices. So if you're going for like a serious PB attempt, this is a potential minor time loss between first phone and 9th phone.
Or worse, if you don't know how to read or don't know how to input numbers.
Stupidly enough, the 5 and the 6 look very, very similar.
And kind of backwards, too.
Yeah, the 5 looks like a 6, and the 6 looks like a lowercase b.
I think of it as the 5 looks like a 6 with a hat. And then the 6 doesn't have a hat.
Savis in his note wrote 5 equals 6, 6 equals b, and that always stuck with me. Because I used to have to check them when I was learning the run.
Yeah, I just don't trust my own eyes, so I go ahead and click the thing and eat the time loss. Because it does kick in a cutscene that I've got to wait for load. So that's 3 times so far.
Once upon a time, we used to get 2 numbers. So it would only take up to 3 attempts to get the whole phone booth code.
Alright, we're at 5. This is fine. This is fine.
That never happened before.
Oh, this has definitely happened before.
This always happens.
You can bypass the phone guessing game and just try to barge your way through. You end up fighting a rather powerful enemy. I believe Zero Scar one's route fights the Dreadnought. It
You
works
should
out to be
dread
about,
not the fight.
I think it works
Seven
out to be
try.
like a 6-try phone.
And
It does take 2 overclocks. So you'll be down 4 EP, which basically ends up just killing your day right there.
yeah, it tends to kill my day too. Oh man, I had to fight a dreadnought. Ah.
We did just get a $15 donation from King SPI.
Nice.
You guys played rough, Kupo.
Kupo.
Black dress, white rose, and girlish glasses from Midnight Moth.
Oh gosh. You're gonna have to remind me of all three of those because I am not gonna remember that.
King is the
All you have to remember is orange.
And just a reminder, we have to close off the Name the Angel in about 5 minutes. So if you want to snipe that, you need to get those donations in soon.
This is a weird little bit of dialogue here. Yeah, these people
the
are nice.
promised time is upon us.
I mean, you would get to see who the main boss character is here if we hadn't skipped it, but I mean, yeah.
We'll keep the mystery going. So the fanatics end up running away. The Crest of Etro you do have to grab. It just saves one fight in the next segment we're doing in 2 days from now. I thought we were going here tomorrow for a second.
Well, today
This
is
game-
tomorrow in the future.
That's right.
I can see the future.
What is
lo-
today but yesterday's tomorrow?
So here we're going to be buying a Soul Hunter or Soul Seed membership card. It's going to be used to help complete a main quest much later on. You can only buy the card from Baird, this guy. There are Soul Seed Hunters spread out all throughout the game. So once you have the card, you can talk to any one of them. The run does require you to get at least one Soul Seed. Sharkie's going to be picking up a little bit extra just to make the Gill route a little more flexible, because he does have to buy a couple of extra potions and equipment.
Buy some extra stuff that just makes the super boss safe.
So a lot of this game is just running around. People give flack for 13 for being a hallway simulator. This is just a running simulator.
Just keep running. Just keep
So,
running.
One big thing is to keep an eye on your dash bar, the blue bar above your hit points. So whatever garb you have equipped on the overworld, its maximum ATB is your dashing ATB. So when you run out of the dashing ATB and the bar turns red, it refills half as fast. Not a big deal, but if you're going for a good time, you always want to keep it replenishing at full rate.
I'm afraid that this is your stop.
Alright, so I'm going to buy a couple of things here, just to make sure that I've got... Wow, do I know where my stuff is? There it is.
So here we're buying another garb that we're going to be keeping on, and at any percent run, you'd be doing it for the rest of the game. Passion Rouge. Passion Rouge has D-Protect and D-Shell on it, and they're stronger than the normal level 2s you can find in the game. Normally a level 2 debuff will only last 45 seconds, but with Passion Rouge, because it's special, it lasts a minute.
Shoutouts to Casa for making the Passion Rogue part of the lexicon of the rest. He's the same Casa that ran Super James Pond here a few hours ago, and he is a wonderful human being. So
But they haven't had any luck.
you're my favorite Rouge Rogue, dude.
Seems like the Order isn't the only one interested either.
So
Sorry for the rogue shout out, guys.
So D-Protect will give you a 33% damage boost from physicals. D-Shell will give you a 33% boost from magics. D-Protect is one we're going to be using for the majority of the run, just because spells are good for staggering, but we're not really going to be spec'd to make spells worth any damage.
It's worth pointing out that the 33% is additive, unlike the previous games where it was multiplicative. So if you're fighting an enemy that takes 10% physical damage and you inflict Deep Protect on him, it will now do 43% physical damage, which is a relative 4.3 times damage boost, which is very significant.
I did not know that.
Yes.
I am going to call the last call for your bids for the Angel of Valhalla. So get those in right now. I will be closing it off in about a minute.
So I'll caveat that to say that I'm going to have to repeat this part a few times if I don't get the 30% drop I need. So there's a small chance that this will actually take more than just a minute. So get it in now though if you can. Ooh, I got the buffed one. Finally, something goes right.
Nice. So this is a hard reset point for any point. We're going to be farming an enemy called the Desert Sahagin. So it drops in Peril. In Peril is normally a 15% drop rate, but because we're fighting it in Chaos, it gets doubled to a 30%. The Sahagin gets a 50% stat boost. Imperil increases all elemental damage by 50%. So it's a very, very powerful debuff to have for the whole game.
Thanks for waiting.
So here we're going to throw one of the Warrior's Potions. The Sahagin has regen, so it restores 1% of its maximum hit points every 3 seconds. For a small enemy like this, it doesn't make much of a difference, but if you're fighting a bigger enemy, more noticeably if anyone's played the game casually, the Earth Eaters. Ooh, Dispel.
Yeah, you need to dispel with the idea that we're going to do this quickly.
Yes.
Yeah, so this is a 30% chance to actually work, which means it's a 70% chance not to work each time. And I don't think I've got the record for the most amount of attempts, but I've seen this go as many as 11 times.
I think D-Wins had 24 in one of our races.
Was he doing it in Chaos?
I know Zero had a lot.
He had 19 out of Chaos, and I think 6 in Chaos.
Ooh. So yeah, it's a small time loss every time this happens, probably about a minute or so, and once we finally get the drop, then we can move forward and cut off the naming incentive.
4 hours later.
There is a item you can get called the Beggar's Beads, which doubles the drop rate. So it only doubles the initial drop rate. So if you got it in Chaos, Imperil would be a 45% drop rate, which still never feels like 45%.
I still almost managed to forget my Warrior's Potion there. This is fine.
Lude, I think 4 or 5 years ago, made a tutorial video for the PS3 run. And there was a joke about it being a 20-hour tutorial because of Imperil, because he was doing it.
Oh, nice.
Oh, nice, Imperil. And it's buffed.
Second try. Okay, we're good to move on, so any last-minute donations on that incentive, go ahead and get them on in now.
So this is also where the time sensitivity plays in. The Sahagins won't spawn past 4 a.m. 4 a.m., the majority of the enemies that will spawn are Monectans.
As in all the enemies will be Monectans.
Yeah.
Well, except Cactuar still spawns randomly for some reason, but that's like the exception.
He's just heading home after a fun night.
And if you go into a dungeon, the spawns in the dungeon will be normal, but in the overworld, between 4 and 6, it's Meonectin, and between 16 o'clock and 18 o'clock, it's Anubis.
I did not know that other one. Today I learned.
This game also has, you won't see it in the any percent, but it also has an extinction rate. So casually, I remember just killing a bunch of enemies over and over again, and then once you hit a certain amount, so Desert Sahagin is 80. Once you've killed 80 of them, they're called Omegas. They'll show up. They're really strong, and they're kind of like the last ones. So I remember casually just killing all the Sahagins, getting to this Omega, and him just ruining me. But there are some enemies that can't be extincted. The Monectans can, in theory, but they have a really high limit for some stupid reason. Sets in an,
65,535.
I don't even know why they set a limit for that.
Wait, which one am I
Hearing
going
what it
to?
done.
This one. Okay. I remember now.
Dry Floodlands.
No, I haven't been to
Oh,
the
no.
Floodlands yet.
Oh, near Godwrath.
Yeah, this is fine. No, I do not want to rename my stuff.
All right, the Angel of Valhalla has been closed. Our winner is Steve.
Steve.
Nice.
Then again, you are the savior. Doing what regular
That's
people
perfect
can't
timing.
comes with a job, right?
It's a very fitting name.
Thank you.
So here we're trying to join a bandit gang out in the desert. So the boss is like, hey, go kill this turtle. You're the savior, you can do it.
A worthy opponent.
That's not what I wanted to do. This is fine.
So the Gurngach is an interesting enemy. For every debuff you inflict on it, it takes 4 less spells to stagger. You might not notice it was pretty quick, but parts of the shell start disappearing. The more debuffs you do, you can have a maximum of 5 buffs or debuffs active at one time. If a new one gets inflicted, whatever buff or debuffs on the furthest left just gets removed.
Light. It looks like Adonis waited.
So overclock is an addition to the game that totally breaks it. So for 2 EP, you get a
It seems like they were just waiting for the
Bullet
uh,
time.
much larger ATB bar than you ever can playing casually. And when overclock ends, you end up getting a full ATB refill on all 3 garbs.
Yeah, unfortunately I can't just change every 12 seconds into a different garb and, you know, get all my abilities back. That's how 13 works, actually.
Saha. I can't even try to pronounce that, drumboardist.
Sahajin.
Sahajin. I'll go with that.
It's a ha 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 ha.
Ha 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 ha.
So here we're also just... You have to visit 3 shrines to get tablets. To progress a part later on in the game. We're also setting up a couple of teleport spots for plot-related reasons.
So this one will have an iPad in it, but we'll get an Android tablet later.
And then a Surface.
Oh gosh, let's not talk about the Surface. We're saving that one for last.
Something I think you should know. Something important.
Shoutouts to Microsoft, who is apparently not sponsoring my run. That's fine.
One interesting mechanic that I always found interesting, I bought the game years ago just for this reason, that you could slide.
What you're doing.
That was the entire reason he bought this game.
That was the selling point.
Everybody's surfing. Surfing USA.
Sliding has the same movement speed as dashing, but it doesn't cost ATB.
So while we got a little tiny break, you are currently watching Speedrun Ragnarok, and we're proud to benefit Take This again. Take This provides education on mental illness so that friends, family members, and coworkers can be better allies to those who are suffering. If you'd like more information, please visit takethis.org.
Sharky, were you supposed to end the day there?
Yeah. No.
No, you were supposed to go to Adonis.
Was not. This is fine.
Okay, yeah, this is okay.
Oh,
I was like,
gosh.
ooh, route change.
No, that was
Rerouting live on stream.
I was not supposed to do that. You're right. Wow. Okay.
New marathon strats.
So, when can I fix this? Can I fix this?
You can fix it. It'll just be slow.
Good to see you again.
You can do the Grave of the Colossi Shrine, teleport to near God's Wrath, run to the Dead Dune Maze.
Well, I'm glad I built a couple extra minutes of wiggle room in my estimate because... oops!
You can take the train to the Wildlands.
Yeah, but it's going to take a couple minutes to run back out of the thing in order to get back to the train.
One does not simply walk to Wildlands until you've completed the quest on day 10, and then you can go ahead and walk on the highway into the Wildlands.
You know, yeah, this is Mordor. This is fine. What's going on? Alright, so what I was supposed to do was teleport back to town here.
You could...
Yeah, I'll just go ahead and unlock this now. Don't worry, guys. I'm not nervous. You're nervous. This is fine.
I'm not nervous. You're nervous.
Thank you.
So now we're part of the bandit gang, and we're going to meet a familiar face.
One of our two favorite Australians from the 13, the original 13.
Vanille! I'm sorry.
Now, if you speedrun this one, Vanille is your least favorite, so...
Yeah.
This is Fong.
So Fang is considered a guest character. She's the only one from the 13 series that actually acts this way in the game. Hope is the annoying narrator. Saz is still the grumpy old man.
Yeah, I can't remember the others.
The important question is, though, does Saz still have the Frokobo?
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Well, I mean, yes, but also the Frokobo is also now personified as Choco Bocolina, which is an oddly fan-servicey character. It's really strange.
Chocolina started showing up in 13.2.
Yes.
There's a joke with that pour that Sharky just had, because one of my viewers several years ago saw that and said, "Wait, why is it saying poop on stream?" So every time that happens, I go, "Poop!"
Thankfully, this is a PG-related stream, so we just leave it at that.
That's the extent of the... Yeah. Wait, that's PG.
It is.
If anything, it's toddler friendly.
Oh gosh.
So, because of a tiny mistake, we were supposed to actually teleport out of the first shrine, talk to Adonis, and then come here, and then end the day here.
Yeah, I'm really glad I unlocked the teleport next to the train station, by the way.
So here we're just kind of catching up a little bit. This day and this route is very, very open. There's not a lot to do. Some other routes, you just have to push this back to a couple of extra days later. So you can only access Yusnan from the train wise from Luxarian North. And then Luxarian South will give you access to the Dead Dunes and the Wildlands.
Yeah, so, now that we're back on track a few hours behind, we should be in good shape. This is fine.
Fang is only your guest character in the Dead Dunes. Sadly, she just doesn't follow you around everywhere. She has quite a few good skills in her repertoire, but she also has infinite hit points, but doesn't act like she has infinite hit points.
Alrighty, so at this point what we're skipping is a cutscene where you suddenly hear a vision telling you to find the White Chocobo, the Angel of Valhalla.
A white chocobo at the end of the world.
And it wants me to go run into town, find some information about it, but since I already know where the Chocobo is, I can just run straight there, because gotta go fast, yo.
Someone spoke to me. The voice was real. And it
Speaking
mentioned
of
the
going
angel of
fast,
Valhalla.
we do still have that Dragon Ball Z Legend of the Super Saiyan fights Super Saiyan Vegeta. Needs to get that 150, and we're only at 30.
Right.
So
That
let's try to
temple
get that
Chocobo
before the end of this
belonged
run.
to Dr. Gazal. They said I could find him in Canopus Farms.
Just keep running, just keep running. I really hope I remember how to do this fight.
Overclock, Gale Strike, Overclock, 5 Gale, Blitz, Blitz, Blitz.
That sounds like fun.
So was that our golden age? Well, judging by the state of them, it ended a long
Also,
time
for
ago.
some reason, there are, random dogs and other... I think cats just tend to wander
Yep.
everywhere where you wouldn't normally expect to find them.
Puppy.
So this is where it began.
Unfortunately, you cannot pet the dog as far as I've learned, so...
No.
It's one of the downsides to playing this game. Alrighty. Oh, of course,
here-
there's a dog right there.
It's the white chocobo.
So here we come to the Chocobo Eater, or sometimes we call him Cheater. He drops 2 abilities we both want, Magnet and Blizzara. Magnet makes a boss a bit later quite a bit easier, and Blizzara, any raw spell in the game is really good for staggering. Also, with Chocobo Eater is an instance of different staggers. So if Chocobo Eater does a bite attack, all your abilities get double stagger power for a short window. You forgot. Oh,
I forgot my potion. This is fine.
so
This
in
is
this
fine.
game, raw spells are really good for staggering. Gauss spells are good for crowd control, meaning if there's a lot of enemies on screen. So we'll be picking up a Blizzara anyways, but if you get the drop from here, which, hey, we got Magnet.
Nice.
This run just got pretty attractive.
That's right.
Do you really
I'm
think that
I'm
was
positive.
I don't know, I'm pretty negative, but I'm sure that is what brings us all together. Sorry.
to me too? But the thing is, when I first saw it, I felt this weird familiarity.
So there we can afford to use 2 overclocks because Chocobo Eater gives us 2 EP back, and we need 3 EP to teleport.
I'll follow the doc back to
Teleport's
Canopus
an
Farms.
ability. If you've been to a location once, you can spend 3 EP to teleport there. For some reason, the Wildlands has quite a few, or quite a bit more teleport spots than the rest of the areas.
So we're
So here-
almost back to town.
So here we saved the white chocobo, or the Angel of Valhalla.
Yeah, real quick, Val, how do you spell Steve?
Steve.
All uppercase, all lowercase. What are
It's
what are we going for?
lowercase or uppercase STEVE.
Excellent, thank you.
I will not admit to having to look it up.
STEPH.
That's not quite right. All right. There we go. So now for the rest of this point, we will make sure to do our best to take care of and nurse Steve back to health.
Sadly enough, this naming of the chocobo is taken out of the PC version.
Is it?
Yeah.
Lou, is that... don't I remember from your run you,
Can you name a
accidentally renaming
chocobo? I
it?
thought they took it out.
On PC, you cannot name it.
Aw.
Haha.
And there's probably a couple reasons why they removed it in the later release, but we won't go into that.
Yeah,
So-
I couldn't remember it all, so thanks for clearing that up. Go ahead, Dine.
Oh no. So here we just basically have to bring up the Angel of Valhalla's hit points. So by grabbing all these items, you need to get them to a certain threshold to stand, and then another hit point value to end up being able to glide.
So we're gonna go run around, we're gonna collect a few things, pick up some fertilizer so we can grow some greens, and then eventually Steve will be able to rise.
So we're also going to be looking for shinies on the ground. If we can find 2 vegetable seeds, it saves us from going through a small tutorial and buying some.
Thanks for reminding me of that.
The seeds are listed as a 75% drop chance, which I think is a total lie.
75% of the time, it works
It
every
works.
time.
Alrighty, I'm not see. Oh, no, that's not a shiny. So,
All right.
if you've got anything that's jumped in as far as donations, or this would be a good time to rep take this too.
We still don't have any donations, so we definitely need to be getting those. But you are currently watching Speedrock. I cannot talk at this time in the morning.
Speedrock Ragnarok.
You are currently watching Speedrun Ragnarok, and we're proud to benefit Take This again this year. Take This vision for game communities to welcome and support people experiencing mental health challenges, as well as recognize the humanity and mental health of game creators. I think I butchered that really, really badly. But if you want to learn more about this wonderful charity, please go to takethis.org. It is an incredible charity, and I really appreciate any and all donations that are going towards them.
So we got kind of unlucky with the spawn there. We have to talk to one of the guys that are up the bridge.
I hope this works.
Oh, you might just have to cancel the fight.
There we go.
So the girl we talked to back at Canopus Farms was like, "Hey, my dad's out there somewhere." And then this guy's like, "Look, just tell her I'm dead."
Is that what actually happens?
Yeah. And then the old man in the research camp did the same thing to Cole. So it's like a family tradition to just abandon your kid.
That's really depressing.
Yeah. I don't know why.
Yeah, thankfully, when...
And then at the very end, Sorala tells Lightning to tell Cole and the other person that she... No, wait, no, she doesn't do that. Never mind.
No.
Yeah, thankfully we're here to support a good charity for anybody who has any sort of issue, including hearing sad stories like that.
So we wanted to save the 3 EP because teleporting back to the station is much faster than running all the way back. And if this is where one of the differences between PC and console come into play. At 60 FPS, this game is broken in small ways. So we're going to be planting vegetable seeds to grow Gashal greens to help heal the Angel of Valhalla. At 60 FPS, there's a chance where that seed will fall through the floor. And by the time it buds, it'll bud so far under the ground you can't access it, making that spot unusable. So here, if you're running on PC, you're going to have to change it down to 30 frames a second. But it also opens up to a useful glitch that happens on the last boss.
Yeah, that's thankfully I don't have to worry about either of those here, so this will be fun. So we gave Sorala the bad news, but she is still kind enough to help us set up our little mini garden here. So I'll go ahead and kick this off. No, it tells you need 6 hours, but because it's easier just to sleep out the day, we're going to go ahead and do the things here. I'll go ahead and buy my extra 2 seeds and then go ahead and take a nap.
Lightning's getting all the sleep I would like to have right now.
I know.
I agree.
So thankfully in Lightning Returns, you can cutscene skip pretty much everything. Which you have to be careful sometimes, because sometimes you can cutscene skip a cutscene skip. So you do a cutscene skip and effectively nothing happens. And there are a couple instances where just letting the scene play out is faster than cutscene skipping.
Alright, we are at the end of day 4 now.
I
And
really like how
everything is
much
right.
time we kill in the speed run after every
Yeah.
casual player is like, the time limit is so tight, I don't know how anyone can do it. And we're just like, let's just sleep from 6 to 6.
This is fine.
In this route, we have 3 days to kill at the end of the game.
Also, LilSharkie, roughly when are we going to be cutting off the color for Midnight Moth Guard?
Oh, we've got another half an hour for that at this point. My
Okay,
my estimates for that are a bit off because I wasted a bunch of time by mistake.
But also, I would really love to do Vegeta's most iconic line, so let's try to get that incentive met before the end of this run. And don't forget, there are some other incentives happening with I just drew a complete blank. Stardew Valley, that's happening after the DBZ run, so definitely make sure you're getting those donations in.
This kaleidoscope takes just a minute, so... Alright, let me go run through here. So, timing is going to get really tight here in just a moment.
So here we're buying a water-based garb called Watery Chorus. It's very fancy beachwear. And this is also the first instance of end potions. So we'll be buying an End Thunder and End Fire potion. End Fire gives you a fire-based attribute to all your attacks. End Thunder, Sharky.
I did buy the right one, didn't I?
I thought you only bought End Fire.
No, you bought both.
Oh,
Okay.
never mind.
Thanks for making me worry there for a second. That's fine.
Anytime. I'm here to add the drama.
I thought you were like, and in Thunder, what does that do, Sharky? It's electrifying.
It's electric. Boogie woogie woogie.
End potions last just a stupid amount of time. They last 5 minutes compared to potions 30 seconds to a minute.
Okay.
And we have a $120 donation from our runner
Whoa.
that says Big Bang Attack. That is not quite the correct phrase I was thinking of.
That's it's okay. I definitely don't know what I'm doing here, so... But Steve can almost get to his feet, so...
But we have met the fight Super Saiyan Vegeta in our next run, so thank you so much, LilSharkie.
I don't know, I hear that guy's kind of a jerk.
Just a little bit.
Excuse me. Okay. So, at this point we have finally gotten Steve back up. Fighting with Steve. Riding Steve. Yes, you cannot pet the Chocobo, but you can hop on board.
Steve,
yes.
stay there.
Oh, I know. I got something that says I have to fight with Steve. So,
Oh gosh.
So, Sharky, what are you doing? You think you can play this game?
Yeah. I'm lost. Alright, so, I'm gonna go pick up my last few greens. I really need to remember it this time. I did forget it during one of my practice runs, and that run did not survive. I'm sure you guys don't want to see me restart at Imperil here, so let's pick these up. You can skip the cutscene or you can watch it play out. It is the same price.
in this, I know we're going through the days pretty fast, but coming up soon, day 6 and day 7 are by far the longest days in this route.
Half the run is day 6.
Yeah, pretty close to it. Day 6, I think, is about 36 minutes, 40 minutes.
Day 5
So
is
here
going
we're-
to take a little while too, but that's fine. Please don't hit me. Go ahead, Dime.
So here we're just going to pick up a item we need for one of the SAS quests called the Beloved's Gift. And it ends up turning into a fragment.
Also, along the way, we'll be picking up an extra ability that we'll use for the Air Knight fight. And I also once used to win a race against Dine because I convinced him to pick it up, and didn't properly tell him where it was.
And told me I could use chronostasis freely, and I had to fight Noel with no overclock.
Oof.
That's a bold strategy, Cotton.
Yeah, it didn't pay off.
One of these days I want to get streamed onto the Ocho, but, you know, just hasn't happened yet.
Arya's Village. Whenever I come here, I'm like, are you sure you want to be here?
Well, I apparently didn't, because I didn't even get close enough to unlock the teleport. Ooh, and there's a monster following me into this little spot. This is way too exciting. What are you? Oh boy. I've never fought one of those before, and I really don't want to try. Whew, okay. This is fine, this is fine, this is fine.
Oh, a Triffid.
I want to say at this point it's probably not a big deal, but I don't know.
They can be a pain.
I definitely don't have the time to waste, though. This is the one spot where time actually is really tight.
Panic basket. Panic basket.
This is fine.
So watery core. All 4 of the garbs sold in Canopus, they offer something called element, or like watery course has Blizzard Plus. So instead of Blizzard being a 5-spell combo, Blizzard Plus goes Blizzard, Blizzard, and then ends in Blizzara. So you kind of get 2 weaker stagger hits and then 1 really good stagger hit at the end. Garbs like Woodland Walker have Arrow Plus, and I forget the other 2 Garbs names.
Yeah, it used to be we got the camo savior set up. Now we're at Savior Goes to the Beach.
So the raw spells, I don't know if you just mentioned it, Dine. I'm kind of half falling asleep already. It's so early for me. The raw spells are really good at staggering. In fact, they're probably the most effective as far as like early game spells go, because they have a nice balance of stagger duration with stagger boost as well. The Gauze, I think, have really good stagger build but terrible duration, and the first tier ones have really good duration but really terrible chain building. So the Raws work really well.
Welcome to the Mirror's Edge portion of the speedrun. Is that the one where you run on the rooftops?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, 2 tier 1 spells are basically the equivalent to 1 raw spell cast.
Hey, you're definitely one of us. You're dressed just like us.
Perfect hideout for him.
Thanks for letting me in, buddy.
So this is where the Crest of Etro comes into play. This game is pretty much lightning dress up. So there's, I think, 60-ish garbs.
I mean, they had to make sure that Lightning got something, and
Oh yeah.
you know, being an amazing swordswoman, not quite enough apparently.
I've spotted Noel. I'm going after
A
him.
swordswoman that can turn her sword into a gun, by the way.
Not in this game.
Egging me on.
I know, it's kind of sad.
Toward the
Yeah.
campground. It's like he needs everything to be perfect.
Um,
Everything to be
Gauze
just
spells
right
like,
as
so
prophesized.
an enemy will not lose stagger power while a spell is activated. So a spell like Aroga or Thundaga that are multi-hits, they hit 10 times for 40 ATB.
Whether he wants it or not.
They're good for quick staggering if you do like an Aroga and then followed up with a raw spell.
What I don't understand is why he's hell-bent on making the prophecy come true.
So it can help for high stagger enemies like Boony Phase 4 or even Arrow Knight.
Don't mess around with destiny.
Okay.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Well, nice to
And
see
now
you,
it's time
Leon.
for Christmas.
Well. So here's our first boss of the run, Null. He has quite a few stagger conditions, spells, physicals, perfect guard any of his attacks. So in the PC version, it requires 2 debuff casts for it to stick, where in console it's just your standard 1. So now since we got him debuffed, we have our In Thunder. We're just gonna try to stagger him.
Oh boy. Well, this might not work.
You could probably throw oh, there you go. So we do 3 Gale Strikes and then Blitz. Oh, you lost in peril. You still got this. And what that does is it tricks the game in thinking that your next attack is going to stagger. So Null's first stagger gives you 5 times physical damage bonus. An attack that staggers gives you 3 times damage bonus. So you can see there we did the 3 Gale Strikes and did 8,000 damage with Imperil. And then when we do a Blitz, we do about 30,000. Null's one of the few quirky bosses where that strat works.
Because his launch condition, or his stagger condition is actually launch,
Oh,
but only 2 abilities can launch. It's attack and heavy slash, maybe? No, not heavy slash. At least attack changes into launch. And launch is what will do the stagger, but we purposely avoid that by using Blitz, and that keeps him at the point where he would stagger, so the game does the triple damage thing, but he doesn't actually stagger. So it's a little bit of an exploit.
Steve is just really happy here. He's getting
Yeah.
a full belly.
Also, since y'all were mentioning Christmas, you can support Take This and get some sweet Speedrun Ragnarok swag by ordering one of our official shirts or many other things that look really appealing. Exclamation point merch in chat will give you the links to our listings on Teespring.
That is actually some really nice swag. I think I've got a short sleeve and a long sleeve shirt coming. So, and all that money goes straight to the charity as well. So, at least I'm pretty sure, right?
crickets.
Light, I've been measuring your chocobo.
I don't process information at 4 in the morning. I am sorry.
That's okay. I'm almost certain from what I can remember that any donations.
Thank
subs,
you.
the bits,
Thank you, Littency, for letting us know.
So here we just healed up Odin, or oops, the
Steve,
Chocobo.
Oh
Spoilers.
no.
That slipped out. The Chocobo enough so we can end up using the Glide.
Yeah, you just insta-killed this run.
Yeah. It's so hard.
So Steve
So-
is off and running to a wonderful start.
So here we're making our way to the research camp, which if Sharky would have got the Blizzara drop in an any percent run, he could skip getting it from there, but we also need to unlock it to finish the quest we're going to be starting there. The run's a lot of we're going to start a quest now and finish it a couple of days later for a few of them. Some of them, like the one coming up tomorrow, we're just going to pretty much plow through it all in one shot.
Well, I mean, we jumped into there on day 2 to unlock that, and day 6 is a good time to come back. So occasionally you'll just jump in, do a few things, and be like, all right, I'll see you next week.
I gotta go sleep for 2 days.
Pretty much.
So the first part of the game is a lot of sleeping simulator.
It's worse in the any percent run because the last 4 days are basically just resident sleeper.
This is a terribly desolate place.
So here, depending on the route, there's different ways to do it. We're picking up the Water God bracelet, which will give us Infrost at the start of any battle for 30 seconds. Some routes use the Fireworm bracelet that you grab before you grab the Fiora and the Beloved's Gift, which will give you End Fire for 30 seconds. So this just saves us from throwing a potion, unless we're fighting an enemy that we don't need Infrost for.
I'm gonna go ahead and pick up this Blazara. I wonder if, despite all those shenanigans, I actually got through here in time to not need the second chronostasis.
You should. I think it takes 21 minutes.
Well, maybe for you it does.
It's a straight line.
It's nearly 6. I'm sure
Never
you know
learned
what
how to
that
draw,
means.
I'm sorry.
No need to tie up any loose ends, though. Time stands still in this world. while
Yeah, I
you're
missed
where
that
you are.
day in grade school.
It's a pretty handy system, isn't it?
Well, you're a teacher now, so I'm sure you make up for it.
I remember in 4th grade, for whatever reason, they had us come to the front and draw a straight line as straight as we could, I guess, as a challenge to see who could draw the straightest line. And, like, I guess I had a really curvy thing at the very start, because when the teacher tried to compare how straight my line was, she went straight to the curvy part. I was like, yeah, the rest of your line just went diagonal from there. I'm like, then judge that part, not the first part. God.
So here we meet up with our good buddy Saz. Saz is depressed because Dodge has been sleeping for 500 years.
He's been told that if he can find all the pieces of Dodge's soul, that his son will wake up and come back. But he's had literally no luck, even though unfortunately one of the pieces was right outside his house.
Saz is not good at hide and go seek.
No, not at all.
So that
To be
Beloved's-
fair, that didn't appear until after we just met him. So, I mean, actually, like, if you actually like watch the cutscenes, like, you follow the blue choco chick, and then the item ball falls from the sky. So it literally pops up from out of nowhere.
We took that roundabout for the Beloved's Gift because the Beloved's Gift also gives us a fragment of Dodge's soul. And we have to trade that in at a Canvas of Prayers, which is basically a Chocolina spot.
Sharky, it's 6 o'clock. I'm sure you know what that means.
Well, you are the savior.
I'm sure you've been noticing it in the run, but Hope is so annoying, especially when it gets closer and closer to 6, because he pipes in every 15 minutes and says, Light, it's almost 6. You will be teleported to the Ark. Don't worry, you'll be able to return. It's like, I know!
Or
You've
every
only
time,
said this like 37 times already.
or every time you escape in a battle, Lightning, you cost the world an hour.
You managed to escape the fight, but you lost an hour of time.
There's life on the surface.
This is fine.
And the best part will be in a later dungeon when it kind of conflicts with some other plot element that we'll see.
So here we're finally going to make use of that sneak-in ticket we bought back on day 2.
Well, before that, Val, you mentioned that you were curious what happens to the Afro Chocobo that Saz has.
Am I gonna be really sad? And
I mean, maybe, but it's not depressing. It's just, wait, what? So we're about to come talk to we're gonna come talk to the Chocobo chick right now.
Remember, the tour meets up in front of the gate of the industrial area in
I mean,
I'll let the cutscene play for just a second so you can see.
Saz's Chocobo that
Yes.
camps out in his afro is Chocolina.
Go! Thank you so much.
I don't know by what
Friend.
By what witchcraft?
I think that answered one question and raised way too many more for.
Yeah, it's. I don't think. I think it was that Saz was sad, and the Chocobo chick wanted to help out.
In one of the 5 fragments he's supposed to
Whee.
find,
I mean,
dodges his smart.
I think the reveal of Chocolina being the chick happened in the 13.2 DLC with Saz. And it was one of Etro's miracles was turning the Chocobo chick into this human creature.
Ew.
That's too much brain processing power.
I
But-
understand.
But you are currently watching Speedrun Ragnarok, and we're proud to benefit Take This again. Take This motto is here, which stands for hope is healing, each person is unique, respect your journey, every accomplishment is a victory. If you'd like more information, please visit takethis.org.
The worse the situation,
And
the more he
all
can
your
be.
donations that
He was a great friend
have
when we were in
been
trouble.
coming in throughout this
He's
first
different now.
24 hours, already
He's
hitting
reached
what,
his-
2,800?
even lost his
Yeah,
favorite
28,
devotion.
almost 2850.
He doesn't have
That's
anyone left.
absolutely incredible, and great job, and thank y'all all so much for your donations.
I bet we can get to $3,000 by the end of this run.
There's still the bid war for the mall.
You know what would put us over 3,000? A donation of 154.
Yes. If only there was someone who could meow meow choco chow it up so that we could get there. Or many someones. It's a wonderful community that the Valkyries have here.
Per the schedule, the deliveries made from the. Okay.
So we did a little bit of a equipment. We gave Lightning's First Garb Watery Chorus Noel's Spear. It increases the stagger power of all your attacks by 6%.
Can I reach it?
It's not a lot, but it's still better than Sharp Stick in the Eye.
More heavily than stone. Everything
And also we equipped the Wolf's Emblem, which gives 15% boost to strength. It's not really worth it on the first Garb because it's mostly going to be magic based. But at the end game, it will come into play. So here you're kind of on a timer to collect the rest of the fireworks. That is really unlucky.
Now you know.
These guys are really easy to kill, though.
Yeah.
Thankfully.
So we can escape 2 enemy encounters. After the second one, we'll have to fight any remaining ones because it messes up the time where we can get the fireworks because certain people only spawn for a certain amount of time.
I like the ways that certain people only
Certain
spawn.
people.
Yeah, some of these I can get through and manage to kill. Some of them I can't really kill all that easily, so I'm trying to not waste my retries too early. So that's why
Hoplites are the ones that are super annoying because they will spawn and hit you almost immediately.
And they have quite a far reach to them.
infusions throughout the city. If you keep going that way, you'll end up in danger.
that's the one I really didn't want to see.
Not a whole lot of
Phew, okay.
Light
Desdemona, I think the name is. I can't remember.
Mhm.
It's pretty awful.
It's another one that's difficult to miss or difficult to dodge.
Chaos feeds on despair.
In your route, King, yeah, but in our route, we need to pick him up.
In your route, yeah.
In your.
This is fine.
But we don't get the 5 fireworks from the Scatnay.
Yeah, that Scatnay quest makes no sense.
Yeah.
Whee! I didn't see. Did I get anything off of that one? Did I
Hold
get
on.
another magnet?
Double magnet? Double magnet.
All the luck at the least.
You know what's better than
opportunity.
one magnet? Two magnets.
Magnets.
You don't always need a second magnet, but then you have it.
Sometimes you just really need someone who will help you stick together. And I'm sure Take This is a great part of that.
Speaking of sticking together, the RPG Valkyries are an inclusive group of female and femme-leaning speedrunners who all love and run RPGs. If you'd like to join their Discord, please use the !Discord for the link in chat. The Discord is open to all people and all genders, so don't worry. And they are an incredible group of people, and I am so happy to call them my friends.
It's been a really good warehouse so far.
It has been. Also, speaking of the Valkyries, shout-outs to a couple of specific ones who really helped me get set up. Shala has done just way more work helping me get this squared away than anyone deserves. And then Natara is also a wonderful person, despite how she spells certain names. And the whole crew really is just amazing. So I just wanted to get that out of the way while I had a second there.
So now we're done with the warehouse. The sneak-in ticket did its job. And now we're going to
the
end up...
ticket that we bought like 5 days ago is still good.
Yeah. Really good guy. So now we're going to start the next part where Lightning's like, hey, I need to get into that palace. They're like, you know what'll work? Fireworks. Lots of fireworks.
So, side note, I think we can cut off in about another 5 minutes the donation for the MOV.
You cut out for me. You said about 5 minutes?
Yeah, about 5 minutes from now we can go ahead and we can go ahead and cut off the other incentive. The MOV.
Midnight MOV.
Right now for Midnight Mauve, black is in the lead for 15 and orange is close behind at 10, and none of the other colors have any bids. If you want to snipe it, get it in the next 5 or so minutes.
So the next part, we have to collect 10 fireworks. Each one of the Chocobo chicks we talked to on our first visit gave us 1 firework.
So basically, the director is like slaps the side of the carnival and says, "This baby can hold a lot of fireworks."
That is a very accurate description.
So there we just bought 4 bravery potions to give us bravery for the next 4 bosses that are coming up.
Kind of. I'll hold on to 1 for the end.
So, for someone that doesn't know what bravery does, what is bravery?
It increases all physical damage by 50% for 30 seconds. So you really start seeing a theme with Imperil giving you 50%, Bravery giving you 50%, D-Protect giving you 33%. An End Potion with Blitz is a 60% damage increase, where if you use it with spells or an attack, it's only a 30% increase. So you just start stacking on all these multipliers, and it allows you to do just an insane amount of damage for being so understated, or I don't want to say underleveled.
It kind of jumps out at me because when I first started running 13 about 6 years ago, over half of the people that decided to run it were either math majors or math minors. So all the multiplication just brings in a certain crowd.
Alright, so it's 7 o'clock, so I actually have to get leaving for work now, unfortunately. But it was a pleasure being on your couch, Sharky. I wish you well in the rest of your run.
Thanks,
Thank you
dude.
for having me, and have fun with the rest of the marathon, guys.
Have yourself a good day, sir.
Thanks for being here, Dolphin.
Thanks, buddy.
Thanks for having me.
Really appreciate you, man.
So that the first garb shop for Quiet Guardian isn't in the route, but it's necessary for the donation incentive for the Aeronite fight. So what we're doing here is we're buying the Kiku Kuchimanji and a Dragoon's Gauntlet. The Kiku has the highest, or one of the highest strength stats for any of the weapons. It also gives you heavy hitter level 1. So common theme from 13, 13.2, and Lightning Returns is cut and keep. Cut is a value that your attack has that has a chance to interrupt the enemy. Keep is a number that says, no,
One
I
sec.
can't be interrupted.
Choco! It's time to tell. What are the magic words?
Meow meow choco chow.
That was adorable. Here, this is for you.
Okay, you can go ahead. Sorry.
So if your cut is higher than the enemy's keep, you can interrupt them. After you stagger an enemy, or you see the damage numbers turn from white to yellow, you get double keep, or double cut, sorry. So basically, as soon as we stagger an enemy, they can't do an action. Parandis is the one exception to that, just because we don't end up hitting that double damage.
If I recall, the land they're said to inhabit in the legend is called a...
So here we got all 10 of the fireworks, and now we just have to run back to the firework technician, or the boss, give them to him, and then we'll be running right back here very shortly.
Yeah, so once we get done talking to the director, we'll go ahead and cut off the other bid war.
So get in your donations if you want to snipe one of those colors for the Midnight Mauve garb.
There's nothing better than seeing an orange traffic cone throw fire. So if you want to see that, get them in real quick for the orange.
Orange right now only needs $6 to take the lead.
Sorry, excuse me. Been fighting.
Yeah, the
cough for a
Makote
few-
dress is a reference to Final Fantasy XIV. The Makote dress is a pretty useless garb. It does have its niche cases. For Aeronite, you really can't beat the damage that it outputs.
Yeah, that's gonna be fun. That's probably an hour and change away at this point. And then we'll have another 20 or so, maybe a little more than that for the rest of the run. Alright, I think I did that right.
So we hand in the fireworks, and now we're going to go talk to the director, and he's like, you know what? If you're going to blow stuff up, you got to be dressed in style. Go back and win yourself a dress. So now we're going to have to run all the way back to the slaughterhouse area and do 4 fights. You only need 3 fights for the dress, but the 4th fight will give us one of Daj's fragments.
Yeah, so that's a good place to go ahead and cut off unless any other donations are in progress.
Alright, just
On PC, this is where your system usually really struggles. It trying to render all the confetti just does not work for your system. The Lightning Returns is the better of the 3 13 series ports, but it for some reason it all depends on single core performance, and it doesn't really give much care about your video card.
Oh yeah, you kind of need, next decade CPU power to really get everything perfect on most of these ports. But, your graphics card could be last decade and you're fine.
I was running this with like a 13-year-old card, and it was doing okay, and I upgraded to a 1660. It's not much of an upgrade, and I noticed no difference in performance.
Oh hey, I forgot to equip Magnet. Oops.
You don't need Magnet for this.
I don't, but this is the one place it helps.
I do that, and I end up trying to guard cancel with Magnet.
Oof, good point.
So first fight, since we got Magnet, you can use it here to bring all the gremlins together to make it easy for the kill, because they do like to separate. There is a mechanic that we use called guard canceling. So after you do your finisher, so if you do blitz, 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 and lightning spins up in the air, we switch to another garb and hit guard, and then go back to our attacking garb. And what that does is it cancels lightning's ready animation. So it cancels her landing on the ground, getting situated, and attacking. It saves about a second and a half each time, but how many times we do a finisher does add up over the course of the run. Also, with enemies that have a high stagger decay rate, stagger decay rate is basically how fast the enemy reduces the waves. It can help just get in a couple of extra spells really quick.
very, very technical, it sounds like, and
There's a lot of hidden stuff. A lot of the bosses, it's not really needed. But like if you want to get, it's the guard canceling is just a good minute and a half time save once you get it worked out. Perfect attacks is another just small time, like there's small time saves that add up over the course of the run.
No time for hesitation.
makes sense.
Because with the perfect attacks, you get the 20% extra damage. So if you end up perfect attacking 4 blitzes, you end up saving yourself doing 1 blitz. Depending on the route you run, some fights depend on good perfect attacks. The PC world record run, and second place run is very, very down to the nitty gritty with the early boss fights, where I think you can miss 2 out of your 9 blitzes for perfect attacks, or you're in kind of sad panda mode.
Yeah, so one of the hard times that I had the first time I tried to commentate these runs is that while there is a lot that goes into the fights, they breeze by so quickly that it's blink and you'll miss it for a lot of this stuff.
A lot for it sounding really technical, a lot of the bosses are very well just pretty much scripted. The last boss is the only boss that's really not scripted, depending on what version you play. But no will pretty much always go the same way. Snow will pretty much always go the same way.
Well, I am very appreciative of y'all being able to explain the just little details to really make this run even more interesting.
Yeah, Dying and the Loot are great to have on the couch here. Because I would definitely be struggling trying to talk through all this stuff and also do the thing. So, hey, real quick, Val, what was all the components of that donation incentive that King wrote down? Because I think he had a few different.
Black dress, white rose.
Black dress, white rose, a girlish glasses for midnight mauve.
You know, I'm gonna veto the girlish glasses. I've got something that's a little bit better. Actually, no, I'm not gonna veto it. I'll just I'll change it later. Here we go. Sorry, I shouldn't have said that. So black dress.
Yep.
What color rose?
White
White.
rose.
All right, so white rose, black dress. What were the arms?
There was nothing listed on the arms.
Orange arms it is. How about shoes?
The only things listed was the glasses, the dress, and the rose.
All right.
Orange and blue it is.
Did I pick blue?
No.
Okay. So, we've essentially gotten pieces of both of those bid wars, because we've got traffic cone shoes and arms, and we've got black dress, white rose. Thank you for all the donations for that.
Perfect Halloween fitting colors.
Yes.
So we actually need to equip Midnight Mauve to progress the story. Lightning is going to be in a play, and Midnight Mauve dress is required. It's a very good garb. It gives you an extra 50 to your maximum ATB, which also means we have a larger running meter now, which also sucks because if we run out, it takes that much longer to build back. And it also comes with Fira level 3, which instead of taking 25 ATB like a regular raw spell would, it takes 23.
I do want to.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Val.
King was saying he should have been more specific.
Go ahead. Move on.
So, if you type it out on chat while they're discussing, I can make sure it gets to them. King.
Yeah, I can't see chat right now, but I know that the community has definitely got a lot of happy, fun people going. So, yeah, please do relay over the rest of his winning choices.
So here we just progress the time to 3 a.m. because that's when the play happens. And now we're gonna. Whoa,
I'm okay.
Sharky,
No,
did you fall off your? Did you fall off your chair, sir?
No, my cat fell off the desk. It's okay. It's okay.
Poor
Well,
kitty.
Really glad I wasn't using that webcam. Might have to buy another one. This is fine. Please go ahead.
And King said he was kidding. So Halloween is
Halloween came early.
One of the things that has always surprised me, because I never quite understood it, is that like 90% of the people that run Lightning Returns are from Canada, so they're the most polite people in the world, and you know, he's just like, yeah, you go ahead, it's good.
It's all good, eh? I don't want to cramp your style.
Speaking of which, Dying here is one of those good people.
So in this the palace area, we don't have any time to escape. So if we get into any encounters, we're gonna have to fight them. So when you use the escape command, it progresses the time an hour in the day, or an hour, hour in the day. I'm gonna run with that.
Good call.
So some of the times we end the days by an encounter just because it pushes it forward. Once again, there is a minor difference from route to route. In the PC routes, I don't even want to call it a PC route because really you can run on any platform. But some routes end the day in the palace, which gives you a little more leniency.
If
So
any
for
of this sounds like too much, you can also run on easy difficulty where retrying does not change the day. But because of that, easy is only like, I think 2 minutes ahead of normal.
Just because the bosses go down so fast. This area also has a really high chaos spawn rate. So just a little updater. Any enemy that's in chaos gets a 50% damage boost or stat boost, 50% hit point boost, and they also start with regen. Regen is not really a big deal because they don't have a lot of hit points, but for bigger enemies, if you end up taking a little more time than normal, you can end up just fighting for quite a bit longer just because you're trying to destroy all the hit points they've just gained back. So this area might look very familiar. It's part of the tutorial area.
It is
that we
the
did
tutorial area. Yeah. Sorry, I interrupted you. Go on.
Well, I had nothing else to say after that.
So we'll get right. This is the door we couldn't get past, and then we get to run through the rest of the area, which is supposedly heavily blocked off, but also has lots of dogs running around for some reason.
Someone's asking what's your PB in this Darky.
In this particular category with the super boss, I think the best I've pulled off is 255. My best run, just in general, doing normal, is 2 hours and 41 minutes. So I was expecting around a 3-hour run for this and budgeted in an extra 15 minutes for random stuff that can go weird, because it can always go weird, especially if I, for example, mess up this jump skip I'm going to try once.
So there's two small, I don't know if they're sequence breaks or whatever you want to call them.
Oh no.
Saltus?
Yep.
You can overclock him. He's worth 4 EP in Chaos.
Good to know.
He's not in... Oh, he is. So you can stand on that crate and end up just skipping, running around. Spells. You're gonna need spells for first stagger.
Yeah, I'm really improvising.
And now
here.
Blitz.
Oh boy. Well, this is fine. I'll just get around this too.
Unfortunately, this is one of the the side effects if you don't get the jump. It's either a Zaltis or a
Time to repent.
you might have to overclock again. I think he's worth 4, so you should be okay for the sets.
I hope so.
Fira's gonna guard without Imperil.
This will not be a PV run, but this is entertaining, I hope. He was worth 3, so we'll figure it out.
Yeah. So just don't overclock the double set fight.
I usually don't anyway.
Alright.
This will be fun.
So yeah. So if you get that crate jump, it just saves running around here, and it potentially also saves an encounter because it's a very narrow corridor, and usually right here with the caution tape is where an enemy will spawn. Instead, it's right there.
Thanks for waiting.
Yeah, I also have to worry about making sure I don't get myself killed here. Oh gosh.
Swords. You think you can be forgiven?
I really need to not get caught by anything else. This is fine. This is fine.
I thought that Niblet hit you with Glutton. I was so scared. Okay, just don't get into another fight. Thankfully, there's a place coming up where we can get our hit points back.
Marathons. They're always fun, guys.
But sometimes this is just how the palace ends up going.
Oh no. This is ridiculous. Thank God. Okay, we're good. We're good.
Alright.
Come on.
So here is the nice safety net where we can end up buying potions. So a high potion will restore 66% of your maximum hit points. Maybe it's more than that.
I felt like
80?
a straight 2,000 there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, maybe it's in battle that they only do the 66.
Still several rooms that we haven't
So we checked the door.
Why don't you check them out?
Snow doesn't want us in there. So now we got to go rummaging around to find Sarah's necklace. Because when something's important, you put it in the furthest place away from you.
Yeah, Snow figures if I'm actually lightning, I'll recognize what that necklace is for and bring it back.
Very comfortable, like a cage
So.
made to hold some wild beast or
Thankfully, I'm a speedrunner and I've skipped all this story.
cell made for a criminal to waste away.
So a lot of the game is just knowing where to run. Obviously, bosses, like, if you mess up on a boss fight, it can cost you 30 seconds, a minute, 2 minutes,
That cat would
5.
not let me pass. Sorry, go ahead.
But a lot of it is just knowing, bad kitty, where to run, or like your movement in the areas. So Snow's Palace, thankfully, is pretty straightforward. There is 1 or 2 places where you might fall down to a lower area. No chaos, no chaos. Chaos.
Oh gosh, that was awful.
So you can see the difference in damage between the Anubis that was debuffed and the one that wasn't. So doing 7,000 compared to 3,000 is a good amount of damage. Thankfully, the Anubis is one of their stagger conditions is blocking one of their attacks.
Man, I'm just really mucking this up.
Swords.
There we go. This is fine. And we're back to good. Okay.
Gonna have to get a "this is fine" counter. Go
Yeah.
back and rewatch the run.
I will throw in $1 for every time Sharky says this is fine. Guess what? I had to sell my house.
Well, I mean, it was only 54 times.
But speaking of a fine for "this is fine," we did reach your incentive for the super boss, which is amazing. We got the incentive for fighting Vegeta. There's a lot more incentives on there, including some for the run after the DBZ for Stardew Valley. Definitely check those out, including naming the characters. I believe we met the incentive for, yes, we met the incentive for having a pet. So now you get to choose whether it's a cat or a dog. So make sure you get donations in for that. And there's still another bid war for the Dragon Ball Z Legend of the Super Saiyan. Right now, Chaozu will be your sacrifice, but he's only got $5. So if you want to see, you know, Tien Shinhan die, get your donations in. Or Krillin.
It's a Chaozu. I'm gonna catch it.
So what we're hoping is Snow has an ability if you hit him with two magic-based attacks or debuffs, he has a chance to use an ability called Recast. And what Recast does is any spell that hits him after that gets double the stagger power. So since Snow is an ice affinity, we're going to end up throwing the End Fire. We didn't get lucky with the Recast, so we're going to stagger him the good old way. Bravery. So you can see that Bravery potion right there. Overclock. Ended up giving us 11,000 extra damage.
I didn't want to use up that overclock, but that's fine. I can't hold on much longer. And that's Snow.
So you can see. So Snow, when we stagger him with spells, he also gets unprotected, which is an additional 33% damage. So you got the 33 from deprotect, 33 from unprotected, which is 66, 60% from End Fire, which is 116, and then 150%. So you're doing about 300 times, or 3 times damage.
Oh,
Excuse me.
I'm gonna say too much math in the morning for me.
Yeah, I know. I
But-
started that rant after not sleeping all night, and I was like, I don't know why I'm doing this.
But because this game has it where you can beat up Snow as lightning, and that makes me extremely happy, I have to finish playing through this game.
Nice.
All the fanfic.
Oh gosh.
Not speedrun it,
No.
but definitely casual.
It's a really fun game to play casually. There's a lot of garbs, and with the customizations, you kind of just have to. What I found playing this game casually is just trying to beat the game in your first playthrough, throw it out the window, make your mistakes, go back through with the New Game Plus option. When you're a little bit stronger, you understand the game a little bit more.
See, for
I
me,
know-
I've never actually done a casual playthrough.
That sounds like typical casual RPGs when you first pick them up. You play
Yeah.
through.
I mean, I picked this game up 3 years ago for the Final Fantasy Relay number 2 and learned it in 5 weeks because, hey, we really need a second runner for this game. And that was my introduction, so I never actually got a proper casual play here.
Does the time limit stuff get in the way? It's depending on how you play the game. So Lightning has an ability called Chronostasis, which will pause time for 30 in-game minutes for the cost of 1 EP. So it all depends on how you want to play the game. If you don't mind, like, you're going to be fighting a lot of enemies anyways, which give you EP. So you can get around the time limit very easy with Chronostasis. Your stats are gained from doing quests, not from fighting enemies. So, like, I'm very much the explore everything I can. A lot of the side quests jump out at you that are pretty easy. Some of them aren't, depending if you're trying to do like the 100% completion run in your first one. But the game is very, very doable. Really, without even worrying about the time.
Looking for a partner?
Speaking of-
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Val.
No, you go ahead.
If I can give one word of advice, do not use the walkthrough guide on GameFAQs. So there's a walkthrough guide on GameFAQs that a lot of people use, and it ended up making the game infinitely harder for them. So the piggyback guide had a speed playthrough where you do everything you can possibly on normal mode in your first playthrough, and you get it done by day 4. Which obviously, hey, great, you finish everything in the game by day 4. But if you've never played the game before, trying to follow the strict timeline just adds so much unnecessary stress onto you. Where it's better just to, like, I found it just better to be just go chronostasis everything. Enemies always spawn no matter what, so EP is not an issue. And it really allows you to just enjoy the game more. Sorry,
Anyways.
Val.
Oh, it's fine. I'm just trying to get things in there when I can. But no, there's a little bit of information. We were mentioning games. Take this, our charity we're going for this time. If you buy games at HundleBundle.com, you can choose Take This as your charity of choice to support with your purchases. Or if you shop on Amazon, you can support Take This via Amazon Smile program, where the Amazon Smile Foundation will donate a percentage of your purchase to Take This. If you want to find out more about Take This, go to takethis.org.
One of the things I've always found interesting about this game is that a lot of the cutscenes, not all of them, but most of them seem to be rendered in-game, because whatever your default main garb is actually shows up as what you're wearing when it happens. So I just realized when she was talking to Mog right there that she's wearing the same color dress and the orange gloves and the girly glasses.
Yeah, it uses the game engine to render the cutscenes, which is really nice.
Yeah.
So there we just saved the Moogle village from the evil tree people, and that ends up giving us another dodge fragment.
Well, eventually.
So, yeah. Or it gives us a part to get the dodge fragment. So that's the longest day out of the whole speed run. This is the second longest.
5, 6, and 7 are where most of the time ends up going. Now, normally I would just run back, but because of what we're doing here, I need to grab a quick potion from Hope. And I don't know how to do that. There we go. So we're going to pick up a warrior's potion, and we're going to stash this away for later. We'll go back to Yogd Village, and we'll go run to the next town and the next tower. Excuse me.
Royal Blue Wizard. It's the guide by Crystal 109 and BK Stunt 31. If you scroll down to the bottom of the page, it says, this is based on the piggyback ultimate walkthrough flowchart. And that is the speed run, or the piggyback's version of the get everything done by day 4.
Yeah, there is, if this is a game that you want to pick up as a speed run, or really if you're playing it casually and you just want to talk with people that are familiar with the game, there's a 13 trilogy speedrunning Discord that's out there, and it's open to anybody that wants to join up. So if either you think, hey, this is a lot of fun and I'd like to get through this game in 3 hours, or I'd like to be able to finish the whole trilogy off in just a day, you know.
There's also the quote-unquote community-defined 100% category if you're a completionist. It's called New Game Plus Dash. So it's done in 2 playthroughs. Dash stands for Disaster All Side Quests Heroic Guard. It's about a 7.5 hour run, but you beat the game twice. Once on normal, once on hard mode. You do all side quests. You defeat all the last ones. You defeat both super bosses. So if you're a completionist, that's quite a fun run.
Yeah, you can clean out the whole game in 8 or 9 hours the first couple of times you give it a try.
They were run out of the cities for being heretics.
It's make sure I heard this right. It's a speed run where you beat the game twice.
Yes. Well, there's one quest in the game that you can't 100% the game in the first playthrough. There's a side quest called the Avid Reader where you have a chance to fail it or complete it. If you complete it, you keep going on with the Avid Reader side quest. If you fail it, it fails the Avid Reader but opens up a side quest called To Save the Sinless. So to do all side quests, it's done through both playthroughs. Plus to get Heroic Guard, which is the drop from Erishkigal in the Ultimate Lair on day 13, you need to beat him on hard mode. And I believe Disaster as well from Air Knight.
That's probably true.
It was a segmented based run by Arthelinus, and then Maelstrom and Destrian IV a couple of years ago made it RTA viable. And then another runner that doesn't run it much anymore, Savas Monk Zero, did a lot of work to it and cut almost 2.5 hours off of it. So Maelstrom's run was about 9 hours. World record for console is 7:30.
Yeah, play through the whole game twice and still finish it off in time for dinner.
Sounds like a good day to me.
Appeared in the temple. In the
I think I'd have fun with it, yeah.
Is someone manipulating the
It's nice to see on how all the side quests go with each other. There's certain side quests that you have to finish from within 24 hours of starting it. There's some side quests where you have to go visit it once a day for 3 or 4 days. So like if you're trying to do like a casual 100% on your first playthrough, it is really stressful just because sometimes the game tells you the outline to the side quests and sometimes it doesn't. It's kind of like one day it's just like, hey, you failed this randomly. It's like, oh, thanks.
So here's a fun mechanic that I'm gonna try to show off if I can get it to play nice. Although that one caught me immediately. So when it comes to speedrunning 13, the original one, the enemies tend to respond to the same technique you learned as a toddler, which was I can't see you, so you can't see me. And people love to camera trick by pointing their cameras straight at the ground, and the enemies genuinely don't see you until you get much closer or even past them. With Lightning Returns, it's a little bit different, and this is the one place we get to show it off. They tend to spawn depending on what direction lightning is facing. So if I can manage to do it right here, and coming up in a few different spots... Which way do I go? This way. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll get to stop, turn around. In fact, I can maybe do it here. And instead of something jumping ahead, it's probably too soon. Let's try it here and see if this works. Yeah, they just spawned behind me instead of ahead of me. Just because I turned around. These hallways are kind of cramped, so
jumping also adds steps to your step counter for unknown reasons. So instead of running around in a circle, you can jump up and down, and then an enemy will spawn. Those red goo enemies, they have a really long reach, and they're quite annoying. So each escape costs about 10 seconds, 10 to 15 seconds. So this was found out by King SPI, the PC world record holder. And so this just by using a couple of seconds just by jumping, you can save yourself encounters. So it's kind of you spend 2 or 3 seconds and you end up saving 15.
I haven't quite nailed down the proper places to do them in every case, or the optimum places, but it definitely is helpful because I'm not having to stop and retry over and over.
So there's also another small sequence break on this ledge right here after the giant Bulbasaur. So you can skip talking to Ewell and jumping up these platforms by jumping on that top platform and then jumping over the railing.
I never learned how to do that, so unfortunately
It's
I can't show it off.
quite tricky. Sometimes it can backfire. The Bulbasaur or Aster Protoflorian will wedge himself in the corner where Yule is, and even though Yule is a being from the chaos, she still fears enemies.
Each of her souls was born with the very same heavy burden.
Oh, this is a good place to
And
turn
as
around.
each soul returned to
Whee!
the chaos, it was drawn to the others.
Okay,
Now they've become one. A
so
cancerous mass
the
of
story
sorrow
is
and
a little
pain.
bit interesting. It takes a hot minute
That's
to
what lives here in
describe
this
what you're
temple.
seeing here,
That's what Yule is.
but I can abridge
She
that
is
for
the
you guys
source
if you want real
of the
quick.
great chaos.
Yes, please.
Okay, so in 13.2, your main antagonist is a guy by the name of Caius, who is one of the last beings that's managed
Left.
to survive. Caius's friend is someone named Yule, who Noel also happens to know. Yule is cursed by being what's called a seer, which basically means she gets visions of the future, but seeing those visions slowly kills her. And for whatever reason, she makes it to about 15 years old. She sees a vision of the future. She dies. She's then reborn, and it happens all over again. And Caius keeps seeing this over and over and over and over and over until it drives him mad. So Caius decides, as the villain of 13.2, he is going to literally murder time and entropy so that he doesn't have to see this anymore. Which, spoiler alert, he actually manages. I did not get through that because I was talking. So basically what's happened is you've got a whole mass of souls that are no longer able to be reborn and come back as people, because that's how the world works in this game. Because all of these different Yules happen to have happened, you have all of these different souls that are different in instances of the same person, some of which, want good things to happen, some of them want everything to fall apart, and all of them are kind of just mashing together until, surprisingly enough, they actually become the chaos. So all this chaos you're seeing is actually souls, I guess.
Yeah, it's the souls from Yule.
I know whose power it was that
Some of the Yules want Caius to die finally. Caius was blessed with immortality when he gained Etro's heart. Etro was the goddess of death. Half the Yules wanted Caius to die so he could finally rest, and half the Yules wanted him to live. So you got this push and pull.
So, if any of you ever saw The Matrix, it's basically that idea where they had one good whole story for the first game and then made a whole bunch of stuff up for the next two. Sorry, I took away your time to describe.
Oh no, it's your
Caius.
run, sir. Go ahead.
Yeah, so Caius, for most casuals, is actually a ridiculously tough boss to fight through, because he's just got all these super high offensive stuff. But his HP isn't that high, and if I show up with all my overclocks and just use all my blitzes, he dies before he can do the first hit.
Bosses, we haven't touched on this. Bosses like Null, Perandus, and Snow, if you fight them after a certain day, Null is day 7, Snow is day 7, they become Null plus and Snow plus, and they end up getting more stats and more hit points. Caius stays at the exact same stats throughout the whole game. So it doesn't matter what day you fight Caius on, he's always going to have the same amount of hit points. And this is where just stacking a bunch of modifiers with a high strength weapon comes into play. And now we get a really good weapon called the Chaos Revenge, and it has an ability called Quick Stagger 75%. So when an enemy is at 75% of the way they're being staggered, if you do an attack while equipped with the Chaos Revenge, he instantly staggers.
Quick check.
Obviously, the amount's going to be different from enemy to enemy, but it does save you a couple of spell casts, and it is stronger than the Kiku Kuchimanji.
I'm amazed you can pronounce that.
I tried really hard last night at about 2 a.m.
Yeah,
So we lose the heavy hitter, but it's about 120 strength higher.
So now we're back at the desert. We're trying to work our way back through that storyline. And since Fang is here, you know whatever she's going to care about has to do with Vanille. Also, hey, there's the boss, but we're not going to fight him yet.
Yeah.
That's Aeronite. We're going to come back in a couple of days and whoop him. You know, the basic deal here is Fang is after a treasure, which has something to do with Vanille, which Fang doesn't want Vanille to get a hold of because she thinks that Vanille will not survive what happens after Vanille gets the treasure. So, Fang wants Lightning to help go through this maze, where at the very end of it there is. We're going to use up the 3 tablets that we picked up. Well, 2 tablets we picked up all the way. We'll do a 3rd one. And it actually explains a lot of the mythology of the world as we go along. But we're going to skip that because we're speedrunners.
If you're looking to learn this game, this is definitely one place. It's very, very easy to get lost in. This area is called the God Hands Maze. And it's actually a 4-floor labyrinth, and it's pretty extensive. So by missing like one right turn or one left turn, you can get yourself pretty lost and confused. Thankfully, we're just going from point A to point B, so...
I kind of know exactly where I'm going here. There are also these doors which are timed, so if certain doors will be open if the clock is on an odd hour, and certain ones will be open if it's on an even hour. That's easy to manipulate if you're on normal and you can retry to skip the time ahead. It's harder on easy mode where you can't.
There's also a point casually where I got myself stuck. There's a section of doors. One area is even and one area is odd. So I went to escape to open up the doors in the area to go in, and I ended up trapping myself in another area.
Oops.
If you destroy the statue, you may find treasure. I've been trying to gather
The area by the first red, the second little red cube.
Oh, I do have a deprotect. Okay, we're good. I can skip this one.
There are no records left from the time they were
I was a little worried I was going to actually get caught behind that door in the wrong hour, so...
So if Sharky didn't get a deprotect, he can keep going straight. He got a deprotect level 1 drop from the Fanatics back on day 2.
Yeah.
If he didn't get that, he can just run straight and get the deprotect level 2. The only difference between the two is the deprotect level 2 lasts 15 seconds longer, so it's just less casts, but it doesn't really matter too much. At least in the context that we're going to be using it. So here you have to talk, or I'm trying to figure out the word, interact, there we go, with those red cubes to open up certain doors. Some of the cubes are not exactly by the doors, so it can be a little tricky sometimes casually. So here is what we need to start using the tablets we got way back yonder. And there's also a nice cactuar spot here that we'll be using because the boss is right past that door. But we can't get there yet because we need to do some Indiana Jones stuff. So now we're going to go around and get 2 of the 3 crux pieces by using the 2 of the 3 tablets we have.
And then we'll warp out, take a nap, and get the 3rd one.
So this day, you're very, very free on time. So if these skeletons can often pop out of nowhere and ruin your day, so you don't have to worry about using the escapes here or advancing the time.
But I think you'll be able to break it with your powers.
Yeah, I'm back to where I can just retry out of a fight if something goes wrong.
So day 6 and near the end of day 5 are the 2 kind of time-sensitive days. Anything else, you can just sleep an hour less if you're afraid you're going to get into an encounter.
Be on guard, though.
Alright, so here's the first mural. It's going to ask me if I want to use up one of my tablets. It's going to give me a scene of exposition, which we're going to skip. And then it's going to give me the first of 3 pieces of a crux that is supposed to open up that huge door that we saw a moment ago.
Vanille
So,
and Fang.
yeah. So now we just work our way onto the second piece, and then we'll warp out and finish off the day.
So you'll need to find 3 tablets
skeleton.
to see them all. You have to raid all 3.
Let's make this quick.
I'm just trying to process the amount of information I just got loaded with on 13.
Oh, you're good, man. If you've got any questions, if the chat has got any questions, anything anybody wants to know about this
Oh no,
game,
I'm very appreciative of everything y'all been telling. It's been great learning about them.
Of course, we weren't just slinging away
Sharky might have to skip the overclock on the Gurngach.
Let's have some fun.
Yeah, I think. Well, I don't.
'Cause you-
Actually, I
you're
don't
gonna
need it.
You're going to need the EP for teleport to Atmos.
You're right, but I don't have to. Actually, yeah. Let me try this out real quick.
Someone asked you what made you want to run this game, Sharky.
I was a 13 runner, and I had a friend that really needed somebody to play this game for a marathon. So I said, hey, I'll pick up this one. I kind of know what's going on with the story. And, you know, it ended up being fun. So I had a decision months back where I was like, you know what would be really cool? I've got these year-old PB runs. I wonder if I can... I wonder if I can be as good as I used to be. So I picked it up a few months back, and then I heard about this, and I'm like, I can submit it. It's only a few hours. And that's how I ended up here. But for this particular game, I mean, it's one that I thought was awful, and I made lots of fun of when I first heard about it. And then when I started playing it, I was like, wait, this is a lot of fun. It's different. It's a lot of fun.
So the item we picked up there, the collector's catalog, boosts item duration by 25%. So our bravery potions that last 30 seconds will now last 37-ish seconds. I don't know why I try to do I don't know why I try to do math.
It's okay. No worries, bud.
I caught myself.
That's the important part. Sorry about that.
My apologies. So here, this door coming up is an odd hour door. So we just need to force an encounter and escape.
Your escape just now cost you an hour here in the world.
Yeah.
And then everything is right with the world and we can continue.
Well, assuming I can make it to the end of this section without getting caught by this cat, then we should be fine. For some reason, I mean, I know Pavlov has dogs, but I never knew that Schrodinger had cats. Because the cats are named Schrodinger.
Yeah, it was a cat that got put in a box with a vial of poison.
Oh gosh, let's skip this.
Well, no, it's a metaphor for, like, or at least I always took it as, like, you never know the outcome unless you actually take the plunge. So, like, until you open the box, you don't know if the cat is alive or dead.
You know
So
what?
it's kind of like asking someone on a date. You never know if they'll say no until you ask them.
Okay. That sounds fine. This is fine.
I think we're close.
Something you can help get to know what... I give up on words.
Yeah, we're
I'm trying to keep it very basic for my sleep deprived brain.
No,
but to get off of Schrodinger's cat, that I just butchered, don't forget we have a lot of donation incentives that haven't been met. Some of them are coming up fairly soon. And there's quite a few bid wars, including who do you want to see be sacrificed in Dragon Ball Z? I mean, I always lean towards Krillin, but Chaozu's winning with $5. You also have a bunch of bid wars for Stardew Valley, including the player names, both of them, their favorite things, the farm name, the type of pet, and many others. So make sure you definitely take a look at those incentives and get your donations in.
So, now that we're done with that part, we're going to talk to this lady here who is a seed hunter. So she's going to let me turn in all the soul seeds I've been picking up out of Chaos. She'll say, hey, I've got something for you for that thing you got from the Moogles. And this gets us the 4th of 5 chunks of Dodge's soul. So, that mostly cleans up day 7. I'm going to pick up an extra weapon here. I'm going to sleep till 5, and then we're going to do one more little chunk of running around because I've got one more tablet to pick up.
So the Wyvern Lance we're picking up is basically an upgraded version of the lance we got off of Null. So the Shadow Hunter Spear we got from defeating Null gave us a 6% stagger boost, where the Wyvern Lance is a 15% stagger boost.
You have an hour before you will be
So that will help immensely for the bosses coming up, and especially the super boss.
Yes.
Paired with the Battle Axe of the Believers we got, which is also a 12% stagger boost.
Surfing section. Woohoo! I think this is the longest continuous surf I've managed to find.
So here we're just going to get the 3rd tablet, and then we're going to end the day.
Just casually surfing on your feet down sand.
Yeah.
In heels.
In heels. Well,
Perfectly dressed up for Halloween, too.
Well, we are the savior. That's an actual line from day 3. Lightning's like, this doesn't sound very fair, so Hope just goes, you are the savior. So, as long as I can...
A lot of the side quests you do in this game,
Go ahead.
there's a lot of like fixing either family problems or relationship issues. There's a couple of quests where like one guy's like, I want to date this girl. So then you go on this huge quest just to have this guy ask this girl out. So, in that point of like, if I was the savior in the world, you're basically just playing matchmaking.
until you'll be transported back to the Ark.
I mean, that makes sense. I don't know.
I've seen similar side quest chains in other but I would be very interested to see how this one does it.
There's a couple of really, really good side quests. I tried to go through them all, listen to the dialogue, but I don't have the patience. The cutscene skip muscle memory is really strong.
Yeah, I've got that problem too. There's also a plot point where something's not right with Lightning and something's not right with Hope, and they seem to just not be able to connect to their emotions. And it makes sense from a story perspective, but it makes the way they have to deliver the dialogue just sound really flat and bored and uninteresting. So it's like, okay, I know why you did it, but that doesn't actually make me enjoy the thing. So,
Or you
anyhow.
could look at it this way. They're making fun of the original Final Fantasy 13.
Oh gosh. No, I like that game. I'm gonna try not to pick on it.
I don't dislike 13. I just don't like the character development.
So here's the fun part about 13. Speedrun it. You'll skip about 8 hours of cutscenes. You won't have to deal with any of the different plot stuff that's going on. It's just run and fight, run and fight, run and fight. And the battle system is actually some of the most fun in that particular game because it's deceptively intricate. And the stuff you can do... you assume, oh hey, I'm only controlling one character, I can't do all that much, but you really can control the flow of battle a lot more than you'd expect.
Oh no, I agree with you 100%. Incredible battle system.
So it streamlines the game a lot to where when you speedrun it, and it actually makes it a lot more fun for me. So that's kind of how I got into it. There was a runner named Zoning, who's a good friend of mine now. And the first time I watched him, I was like, wait, how, and it's dead already? And it was a blast. That was one of the first Twitch streamers I ever saw. So, if he's out there, dude, thanks, man.
Yeah, Lou Dolphin got me involved in the 13 series. Zoning was before my time when I started before I started doing speed runs.
Back in my day.
Back in my day.
Yeah.
So this is where those magnet drops we got. We only need one, but the game, because it's cruel, gave us two of them. Magnet does wonders for this next boss coming up. So there are certain enemies that have something called a damage threshold, where if you don't deal over this damage, you'll always deal 1 damage. And Cactea's damage threshold is 65,535, which, even though we've been doing really good damage up to this point, there's just no way we can get that high. So the alternate would have been to grab a spell called Aroga from Caius' Temple. That's a 10-hit spell for 40 ATB. Magnet hits 4 times for 15 ATB. And it doesn't have a finisher, so you can just continually cast it over and over again. Magnet versus Aroga is about 35 seconds on this fight. And also another good thing is Cactear can't move while Magnet is active. So Magnet is just exactly what the spell does. It will grab small enemies and clump them all together if they're within a radius. So here, Sharkie's just got to keep tossing magnets. And then when he runs out, he's going to overclock. And then just rinse and repeat.
Yeah, I'd like to be able to save enough overclock to where I don't have to,
Oh, okay. Oh, you want to teleport?
Yeah, but I don't think I'm going to be able to pull it off. Yeah.
You'll be close.
Nah, this is fine. Just
So
give
you
us
can
an extra time to, you know, say nice things about the charity.
Afrotoire. So, because Sharky bought that Warrior's Potion from Hope, he doesn't have enough EP to teleport. And in any percent run, you wouldn't buy that Warrior's Potion, and then you could just teleport to Ruffian and end the day right there. So, the theme is, as soon as you're out of EP, the day ends. And now we have all 5 fragments of Daj's soul.
I'd like to think this will help Dodge.
Yeah, so we're gonna take a nap so that we can get charged up to finish off the desert. The desert story is then gonna let us teleport out to the research camp so we can finish off Saz's story. And from there, a regular any percent run would be done, but in this case, we're gonna go ramp up and do the super boss right after that.
So just to recap, you start off the game with 6 days. Noel, Caius, Snow, Saz, and Perandus, the boss we're about to fight, each give you an extra day. And that's how we end up getting to the 12 days. You can do a certain amount of side quests and unlock a 13th day, which it just gives you an extra day and access to a little super dungeon called the Ultimate Lair. The Ultimate Lair is 45 floors, and it's full of nothing but the last ones. So this game has an extinction mechanic where Desert Sahagins, for an example, you have to kill 80 of them, and then the Omega will show up. And then after you kill the Omega, no more Sahagins will spawn. Monectins are technically extinctable, but you need to kill 65,535 of them for some unknown reason. Enemies like Sets and Anubises are not extinctable.
Well, that makes sense.
Because I guess you need something to fight when you cleared out the enemies.
Okay, day 9. So we're gonna warp out of here. We're gonna go back to use our last tablet, and then we'll pick up Perandus. Perandus is obviously a very historic and well-known boss. No, I'm just kidding. It's just something that some guys throw at you for reasons. My split and my own splits for this boss literally just says, I have nothing clever to say. So.
Well.
I mean, Noel is the Shadow Hunter, so that's something you could do. You know, all the different, you know, the group of disciples you've got to be can be called, hey, just some guys. Brandis, I got nothing.
So each time you kill a boss, they drop a unique item. Noel dropped the Shadow Hunter Spear, which gives you an extra stagger power. Caius gives you the Caius Revenge with quick stagger 75%. Snow, the item we skipped, is the Ghostly Hood.
I hope I didn't
Which-
skip that.
I don't know. I think you did. I don't know. Don't trust me. The Ghostly Hood reduces
got it.
all physical damage by 75%, but it reduces your stats, all your stats down to 5. Oh no, you got it.
That's one of my safety
Piranhas
settings.
drops the Preda Hood, which reduces all magic damage by 75%, but drops your strength and magic to 5, and there's no way to boost it. So coupled with a couple extra things, you can make yourself 100% immune from magic or physical with either one of those setups. The only thing is you're going to hit like a pool noodle against the enemy.
I don't know. A pool noodle does hurt sometimes.
You know, if you swing those things hard enough, we can definitely get some good out of them. So one of those is going to be required for the super boss, and then the other one I'm going to do as well, just because it's a safety, and this is a marathon. So I'm hoping we can put all this together and put together a really good show here. So, the mechanic for Pirandus is simply going to be buff, stagger, debuff, and spin cycle.
So Pirandus starts with a move called Absolute Barrier. And when the barrier's up, you can't... he takes greatly reduced damage from physicals, and you can't debuff him. So we're going to wait for him to bring up the barrier, stagger him with spells, and then do what we do to every other boss. Just debuff and spin to win. Pirandus is weak to wind. That's why we throw the in-arrow potion.
I'll remember my bravery potion this time.
So a fun thing is if you have the Kiku Kuchimanji equipped here, there's a chance you can actually launch Pirandus in the air while doing a blitz finisher.
I've never seen that.
I've done it a couple of times. It's horrible. So, because like he'll be up in the air and Lightning doesn't know if she can attack him or not. So sometimes she'll just keep trying to run towards him over and over again.
That sounds like it slows things down, but
Yeah.
It does.
The Chaos Revenge is just a better option. It's got a higher strength stat. It's safer. There's just a couple of times I forgot to do a menu, and it ended up just biting me in the butt. So this room you actually have to leave before you can skip the cutscene. If you try to teleport right away, you can't skip the goodbye cutscene between Fang and Lightning. You have to sit there and listen to them talk.
I think I did that right.
Wildlands Research Camp.
Yes. So we
Yep.
got the little picture of Kaio's little ballad there. This is now some extra startup for the super boss. I need to pick up 3 of these flowery shields because I need
Cool.
all of the extra ATB I can get.
So the Ghostly Blooms give you plus 20 to your ATB speed. ATB speed is just the numerical value on which your ATB recovers in battle. Normally, if you're prepping for them, you'd want a haste potion, which doubles your ATB recovery speed. But since there's no really good way to get haste potions, especially for the length of a fight of Air Knight,
We're just gonna go without.
yeah, it's doable without it. You have to manage your ATB a little bit more between spells, which we'll get to when the fight happens.
Also, props to riding side saddle on Steve here because dresses are dresses. So The some of the other garbs before had a saddle way of riding it, but that one in particular, for whatever reason, goes side saddle, and it's just something I noticed.
Lightning Returns follows a good system of 13 where it's buffs and debuffs are your best friends. If you're having any trouble with a boss, they're the good ways to do it. Like I said, including Deep Protect, Imperil, Bravery, and an End Potion, you're doing 3 times normal damage. And then if you end up staggering an enemy, you end up doing 6 times normal damage, or possibly more depending on the enemy stagger conditions. Also, just abusing overclocks is a really good way if you're having troubles with a boss. It's best to use up your ATB and all the garbs and then use an overclock because you get a free universal refill between the 3 garbs. So it is just knowing, like every other game, how to cheat the mechanics to work more for you. Casually, Caius destroyed me over and over again. And the first time I watched a speedrun, I was like, this is not possible.
That's not fair.
And that's usually the most universal response in any speedrunner stream for someone that's watched a Lightning Returns run for the first time is usually, I spent 2 or 3 hours on Caius, and then 28 seconds later he's dead.
And since we're mentioning speedruns, you're currently watching Speedrun Ragnarok, and we're proud to benefit Take This. Again, Take This provides education on mental illness so friends, family members, and coworkers can be better allies to those who are suffering. If you would like more information, please visit takethis.org.
So there we bought a garb called Urban Outlaw. Urban Outlaw has Fira and Blizzara level 3 on it. So hey, we just found ourselves 2 free raw spells. Sharky also bought a bunch of end potions. A for healing and B for an interesting mechanic we'll get to. There's a lot of things we're going to get to in the Air Knight fight.
Yeah, so the fight that you all were kind enough to donate to is going to be coming up here right at the start of the next day. And there's... all the fights you've been seeing are just, hey, 20 seconds here or 30 seconds there. This one's going to be about 4 or 5 minutes, so assuming everything goes right. So it'll be a chance to really open up, hey, what do these mechanics look like? What is, how is this going to go? Plus, a lot of cool stuff is just going to be flashing up on the screen. One of the things that definitely surprised me the most is I found out that while you're in the middle of throwing a potion, you take 90% less damage from something. So if something super big hit is about to come after you and you don't have a way to survive it, sometimes just throwing a potion while it happens will keep you alive.
Air Knight... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm probably going to do that once or twice depending on how this goes. Go ahead, man.
Air Knight has a move called Megaton Break, and it normally does 14 to 15,000 damage. With a potion toss, it does about 1,800 to 2,500.
Oh, that's not even the bad one, man.
No.
Hellfire's going to be fun.
That's it. Megaton Break, you just guard. But yeah, potion, I don't know if it was an intended game mechanic or not. Potions give you a large amount of keep, which for a refresher course, there's cut and keep in the game. Cut is your numerical value to interrupt an enemy. Keep is a numerical value to say, hey, I'm not getting interrupted. If your cut is higher than keep, you interrupt the enemy or the enemy interrupts you.
This is always a fun interaction here right after I finish talking to this guy.
So we're going to be doing one last shop to buy a Veil Potion. Veil Potions make you totally immune to debuffs. Veil Potions give you an 85% resistance to debuffs. And I think Lightning has a base chance of 20.
That guy is just like, thank you. So,
thank you, come again.
Yes. So, unfortunately, I'm going to have to switch away from the Mauve at this point. So we'll have to move off of this amazing visual setup that King was nice enough to give for, and switch over to a nice blue set of camo.
So the majority of Air Knight's attacks are magical based. So with the Prada Hood we got from killing Perandus, that gives us 75% magic resistance. The Quiet Guardian Garb we bought in Yusnan gives us 15% resistance to magic and physicals. So we're up to 90%. And then the Runic Ring we picked up before we fought Noel gives us the extra 10%. So our Quiet Guardian Garb will be 100% immune to magic. And then we'll also be using Makote Dress. Makote Dress has an ability called Magic Slash. It's a physical and magical based attack. Normally it sucks because the physical and magic parts are both put into the damage formula and then spits out a number. So if an enemy has a really high magic defense, you end up doing just dirt damage. So what Sharkie's doing here is he's going to give everyone a ghostly bloom shield to increase their ATB speed. He's going to make sure each garb has a raw spell. Raw spells are hands down the best for staggering an enemy. They have a high stagger power and a decent stagger preservation. So now he's got one garb that's completely immune. He's going to have all the garbs set up for staggering.
And here we go, boys.
So Air Knight has 11 million hit points. We end up getting a 10% damage reduction because we initiate the fight, which brings him down to 9.9 million. So when the battle starts, Sharkie has 3 minutes to stagger him 4 times, or he flies away. So a lot of this fight is watching what Air Knight casts. If you Blazzaras or Firas are good because they have travel time. Aurora has a little bit of a travel time. Fundera is an instant cast. And you also want to watch out for Magnet, because if you get Dread close, he'll end up doing a Fire Breath attack. So in each one of the staggers, so right now Air Knight's taking 25% base damage. And the more you stagger him, that number goes up. So it goes 25%, 50%, 100%, and then 500%. So that's the first stagger down. We throw the Veil Potion because he can inflict Fog or Pain. Fog will stop us from using magic attacks. Pain will stop us from using physical attacks. So, and we can't overclock because after we stagger him the 4th time, we have 3 minutes to kill him or he flies away. So this battle is just one giant timed fight. So this attack, you're going to want a perfect guard.
Oh, I didn't have to. That's why I got the ghostly...
Oh, yeah. Never mind that.
This is fine. Oh, no! Don't run up! Oh, gosh. That was a clinch. I picked the wrong attack there, and now I'm in a little bit of trouble. But
Sharkie got away pretty good there.
Come on.
So this is where using an attack with the Chaos Revenge really pays off for that quick stagger.
There we go. Okay, there's number 2.
If Aroga happens, you're kind of just sitting there waiting for something to pass. Alright, so we got 2 staggers down, 2 to go.
Alright. Here's the big one. And...
So this is where potion tanking that we were talking about earlier comes into play. So you just want to time it so that the potion toss animation goes off during the attack. So that attack, like I said, usually does about 14 to 15,000 damage. And with a potion toss, we bring it down to 1,800.
It's your most valuable treasure.
So, and since we staggered him the 3rd time, Air Knight will start using tier 3 spells, or the Ga-based spells. Which, like I said, Blazzara is the best one because it has the slowest travel time, which allows us to attack more. And he's really close. Nice. So we got 1 more to go.
Man, he is really going after me with these spells.
Oh, yeah. So now he's going to start using tier 4 spells. Surge, Flare, Chill. Tornado?
2 tornadoes.
Wow. He's really going after you.
Yeah, but I'm about to go after him.
Yeah. So now that Air Knight is staggered for the 4th time, he takes 500% damage from physical and magical, which Magic Slash is both. So this is where the power of the Makote Dress really comes in handy. So you end up doing 2,500 times damage. 500 times 500, not including all the different buffs and debuffs. So buff duration stacks and debuff duration stacks. So here we're just going to keep whacking at him. Now we have 3 minutes from the 4th stagger.
Oh no. I don't know if this is doable. I don't have D-Protect.
Keep going.
Okay.
I don't know.
I might have completely messed this one up. This is why we added extra time into the estimate. Yeah, I'm genuinely worried I might not be able to make this now.
I think you should be close.
I was just sitting here going, why are my damage numbers so bad?
Yeah, I was like, what? I was like, what is going on?
Yeah, I didn't mean to make it to where I was.
I think you're
from
okay.
behind.
You've done quite a bit of damage with 2 overclocks.
I'm worried.
You might have to throw that bravery potion.
I do not want to do that. Let's go!
You're getting a good amount of perfect attacks.
The light of your soul is mine.
Yes!
Nice. Good recovery.
Oh, wow. Oh, 54!
So that is Air Knight the super boss down.
That was a treat.
That is supposed to be a lot easier than that. I'm sorry.
Oh, keep in mind, this was one of the incentives that our lovely viewers have met that Sharky just showed off for us. And there's a lot more incentives that need to be met.
Thank you, everyone that's donated for that.
Yes, thank you very much. I'm gonna fix that mistake in my car right now.
So we get a really good accessory from Air Knight called the Falcon Charm. Falcon Charm increases your ATB recovery by 70. Your ATB recovery caps at 200.
Yeah, and
So
I tried my hardest to make that a good part of the route, and
it's
I
not
just
worth it.
couldn't do it.
So now we're into the resident sleeper part, as a lot of people call it. So we're gonna sleep the last days away. There's nothing else for us to do in the game wise. We've unlocked all the extra days. So on day 10 onwards, Hope stops selling Warriors potions and starts selling Heroes potions. Heroes potions give you haste, vigilance, bravery, and faith for 1 minute. Haste increases your ATB speed by 100%. Vigilance increases your keep by 35. Bravery increases your physical damage by 50%, and faith increases your magic damage by 50%. So they're just basically beefed up Warriors potions, and haste is always a good thing. Haste really isn't an issue until Unavel's the last fight. So Heroes potions cost 2 EP each. We have 8 EP. We'll be buying 7 heroes. No,
No, that's right.
you have a lot more end potions than you should.
Yeah, those were my safeties. I didn't have to use.
Yeah, I seen the item list full up, and I was like, what am I missing?
No, you're
So-
right. It's 7 hero potions and then 2.
And an X potion.
Yeah. So, yeah, that sounds right. Because I'm carrying 2
Yeah.
N potions and a bravery, which is why I really didn't want to use up that.
Oh, yeah.
Potion. Because the hardest fight is still to come.
For anyone learning the game, all the fights are pretty static. They're pretty well scripted. Buna Velza is the fight that you're going to spend the most time learning. Sharky put it very eloquently to me one time. It's like throwing Mike Tyson into Hello or My Little Pony.
So that is one way to say it. Basically, consider Mike Tyson at the end of Mike Tyson's Punch-Out and put him into Hello Kitty Island Adventure. That's the kind of difficulty spike you're going to see between most of what you've had to deal with so far and what's left here. Yes, I do want to rent a room. I'm going back to sleep now. So, the first time I ever ran through this game, it took me about 2:45 or so to get to the final boss, and then my first time actually beating him took another 3.5 hours of resets. It's just hard. So...
even casually, it's not unknown to be stuck at him for quite a long time.
And hopefully we're going to beat him on the first try in about 4 to 5 minutes.
About 15, 20 minutes?
Yes. 5-minute fight, probably starting about 15 minutes from now.
Last day is usually about 16 minutes.
Yeah. I'm glad I put that buffer into the
Oh yeah,
here.
Imperil was really kind to you.
Yeah, it was.
I thought for sure it would have been like a 7 or 8 just because marathon run.
Oh yeah, losing a minute every time that happens is just rough. Alright, so let's fill up our potions here. Let's talk to Hope one more time.
Good to see
So for anyone that's like watched the run from the beginning, we slept a lot of time away. And now at the end, you've also just slept a lot of time away.
So, good anagram. You start off as a child where you sleep all the time. You become an adult where you
Oh.
want to sleep all the time. You become really old and sleep all.
Old
Day
man,
6 and
new
7 is
tricks.
kind of like I have to wake up and go to work.
Yeah, good times. Okay.
So this is the last day. Now we're on to... So if you get to day 12, you progress to the final day. In the final day, we're going to be picking up... I think Sharky already picked up Decoy, which is a EP-based ability. And we're also going to get a chest that upgrades our garbs. So are the 3 starting garbs we had, Equilibrium, Dark Muse, and Mist Wizard, are all going to get a fancy plus on the end of it. With boosted skills and garb-based abilities. So Equilibrium Plus doubles our standby recovery speed. So when you're in any other garb but Equilibrium, it recovers twice as fast. Dark Muse gets a Heavy Slash level 4, which is broken because Heavy Slash level 4 is an 8 times attack modifier.
Yeah, so we're finally getting rid of the blitzes from the Velvet Bouncer that we picked up 2 weeks ago at this point.
Yeah. And then we're not using Mist Wizard. The old route, or the magic-based route, would fight Booney using Mist Wizard Plus with Element Plus. It was a longer fight, but it was a lot safer. You would kind of just sit on the edge of the battle screen throwing Element Plus. The physical Booney, when we use Heavy Slash, it's a bit more risky because you're throwing yourself basically right into the lion's den instead of standing on the cage, teasing a stake.
That is a very interesting way of describing it. Okay.
And also, the EP ability Decoy grants you a Moogle that has 5,000 base attack. Its hit points gain with how many hit points Lightning has gained throughout the playthrough. And it basically acts like a Sentinel from 13 or 13.2. the enemy will target the decoy instead of lightning until the decoy is dead. Thankfully, the decoy does have a really good defensive stat, so it can take a good hit. We'll be dropping minimum 2 on the Booney fight. So here we're just. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Val.
I was gonna say I knew those Moogles were way too strong for their own good.
They really are.
So here we're just setting up basically all our garbs to have one attack that can stagger.
One big magic ability, one debuff, which I'll remember to wear both of them this time. That's important. And then, yeah, I think we're in good shape. If I missed anything, I'll just fix it on the fly.
It looks good.
It's time for the last battle, Kubo.
It's time for
So the last day, you don't have to worry about time on the last day. The time constraint no longer exists, so you can freely escape from battles. An interesting thing is, so we bought the Kiku Kuchimanji on day 6 from Yusnan for 12,000 gil. There's an upgraded version of that called the Mass Immune you can buy here for 130,000 gil. So each weapon that falls under a class, so the Kiku falls under a katana class. It doesn't matter if you buy the base weapon or the more expensive weapon. In New Game Plus, you have the option to increase the stats on your weapons and gear. The increase limit is still the same no matter what tier of a weapon you buy. So you can buy the Kiku for 12,000, bring it all the way to New Game Plus, upgrade it, and it will have the same amount of attack as a 130 or a 250,000 gil item.
That's something only you can do.
Providing you have the right equipment for it, the right items for it.
I have to get to the cathedral.
Okay.
So there's really no reason to buy upgraded weapons unless you really need the attack. So here we're going to do something called the reinforcement skip.
We didn't
so
need to skip.
Oh.
That's fine. So the idea here is that if you do things fast enough, you'll be able to interrupt these guys from calling their friends, which unfortunately I was not able to do. So
if you end up killing the enemy that's calling the reinforcement, you won't skip it. Interrupting it by a stagger is different than interrupting it by killing.
Fate is what it is.
And these guards also have the best stagger condition. It's called confusion.
Yeah, so they start healing me and they start messing with each other. It's pretty funny. Or it would be if I gave you enough time to see it.
Yeah. So if this fight's really kicking your butt and there's one left, you can stagger him, and then he'll throw a confused healing at you, heal you for full hit points, and then you can just go murder him.
Yeah. So, what's actually happening here? Abridged story. So Fang and Vanille, at the end of 13, became the crystal pillar that held up Cocoon. They got stuck in crystal sleep all the way through the events of 13-2 until right before the events of this game. Vanille wakes up and has a new ability. She can hear the voices of the souls that have passed on. And the local government, the Order of Salvation, has decided they're going to hold on to her and they're going to try to use her for that. They are very strong believers in what this game calls God, actually named Bunavelza. And they believe that he is going to, at the end of days, take all the souls that the Savior saves, build a brand new world for them, and move everyone on to that world. So the way it's portrayed throughout the game is that Vanille is going to go through with a ritual using the clavis from the desert called the Soul Song. The Soul Song is going to gather everyone together, and then that's going to let all the souls come to the new world. What you eventually learn at the last minute, though, is that The point of all that, as far as the Order is concerned, is to get rid of all of the souls that have passed away, because if their souls aren't there, no one remembers them, and everybody gets to move on to the new world that survived all this in Happy Puppy Kitty Land. Now, because Sarah passed away in 13.2, Lightning has a very strong reason not to want her sister to be obliterated out of existence, and we are trying to go interrupt that ritual right now, which we're going to attempt after we pick up these next 2 fights. Assuming I can remember how to do them.
3 Blazara, 2 Heavy Slash.
That sounds like fun.
So a Chimera is an interesting enemy. So we're gonna debuff and then stagger him, and then go to his backside. If you attack an enemy from the backside, you get a 20% damage boost. Also with Chimera, if you end up breaking one of his heads, you end up dropping the stagger instantly. So the safest way to attack him is from the butt.
Yeah. So we give him some heavy slashes to the back, and he goes away pretty quickly. Things back for about 1 fight.
Just for damage numbers, having Enfrost in there gives you 26,000 more damage per heavy slash than not having Enfrost.
Yeah.
Just kind of drive home the importance of the end spells.
So, the ritual is actually going on. We are, however, insisting on breaking it up. Oh, hey, you guys didn't do what I thought you would. That's fine.
So last fight before the boss. These guys are just basically upgraded Anubises that we've been fighting in Snow's Palace.
There we go. Not the most efficient fight, but it got us through. We are almost to the end of the road here, folks.
Oh, you didn't throw a heroes.
No, I don't throw hero on that one.
Hey.
I used it on
Hey.
the Chimera.
We got a buffed Blitz.
Oh gosh.
Come on, stagger duration plus 3%.
Oh, I don't know about that.
So any buffed ability, so those sets can drop either a Blitz or a Heavy Slash. They can be buffed or they can't be buffed. If they're buffed, you get an extra 3% to stagger duration, which is meaningless, or they can have an additional 130 strength. The 130 strength is what we really want. If you can get a double buff drop with 2 strengths, you are golden for the final boss. Having an additional 260 strength, and then plus the 15% from the fighter's glove, is really a pretty big damage boost.
So I'm going to pick up my safeties here real quick. I'm going to pick up 1 full heal potion and 1 Phoenix down in case he ends up taking me out. And we're going to get to the end of it here. So, what was I going to say?
You gonna check that Blitz?
Yeah, once I get up to the thing. So basically what happened in that cutscene you missed is that Vanille actually did gather up all the souls, but only after Fang, Snow, and Noel came to the rescue to get rid of all of the Order's folks. So you think everything's fine, and then Hope appears as a manifestation of God himself and steals all of them away and calls you up to this area where basically we're going to have a talk. That talk is going to quickly devolve into a fight, and that's going to be the final boss of the whole thing. So, let me just clean this up. I will go back to here, and then...
So the last boss is a 4-phase boss.
Yeah, I don't see anything extra that's buffed here. Oh well.
Oh, it was just regular Blitz. My mistake.
That's fine.
I swear I can see.
We're good. So, all of the quests, all of the souls of people that we've been helping have slowly made Lightning stronger. Lightning now believes that she can fill the role of the Goddess of Death and literally kill God here, which we are going to attempt to do.
Well, you get to kill fake Hope, which is better than killing no Hope.
Hold on to hope? Yeah, right. Alright, I'm gonna focus up.
So, first phase, Booney likes using a difference between spells and attacks. He can use Ruinga, which will end up launching you in the air, or he ends up like throwing a scythe at you, which just drags you backwards and forwards. So here we're just going to throw the hero's potions for all the buffs. Now he always casts Doom on you. So because the game only allows you to have 5 active buffs or debuffs, we can't throw an end spell without losing bravery. So what Sharkie has to do is throw a bravery potion, which gets rid of bravery but moves it over, and then throws an end potion, which ends up getting rid of faith, which we're not really worried about. Now any attack that causes a stagger gets a 3 times damage boost. So that's why his heavy slash there did 113,000. So now we're just going to overclock, do a little bit of wacky whack.
Alright, that's one way to describe it. Alright.
So you want to kill phase 1 quick because he'll either cast D-Brave or D-Faith. D-Brave removes bravery, or if you don't have it, adds D-Brave to you, which you lose 33% physical damage. D-Faith will remove faith or lower your magic by 33%. So here what we're going to do is we're going to attack and throw a decoy. Now what that does is it pops decoy on the other side of Booney, which exposes his backside, which gives us that 20% blindside damage boost. So like everything else, your main damage is the stagger with heavy slash, because for that 3 times damage boost. And because we have the Chaos Revenge, we get also the properties of quick stagger. So there we went from doing 44,000 to 130. Now you have to be really careful for the explosion there. Sharkie came really close to something what we call Wings of Destruction skip. So phase 2 down. Phase 2 can be really tricky. If the battle goes on for too long, he'll use an ability called Galaic Hymn. Basically, he just spins up in the air, becomes immune to damage for about a minute and a half, and then ends up using a giant attack, and then you start the fight over again. So here we're just going to throw the decoy behind Booney again, because extra damage, and we also get to avoid all the nastiness, depending on how lightning's going to move around in this fight. Ooh.
Yeah, this is not great, but we're holding up.
So another nice boost is if an enemy or Boon of Elza phase 3, when he's staggered, he gets daze. Any attack that breaks daze also gets a 3 times damage boost. So phase 3 is you want to stagger with a heavy slash and then break daze with a heavy slash. So every time Booney buffs himself, you'll notice the buffs he has are hexagonal. Those are permanent buffs, which means they cannot be removed. If Booney has 2 buffs, he'll be using 2 attacks a turn. If he has 3 buffs, he'll do 3 attacks a turn. After he gets 3 buffs, after a little bit, he'll end up using a pretty big attack. He'll lose the buffs, and then he'll start over again. So we still have a little bit of time. Almageist is kind of annoying.
It's a big Kamehameha.
Yeah. But that scythe attack is rather tricky just because you end up getting knocked up.
There we go. Okay.
So phase 4 starts, and phase 4 is where a lot of casual people, even speedrunners, have a lot of issues with. He has a very high stagger decay. What that means is the stagger wave decreases quite quickly. So you have to just keep pounding them with spells. The issue too is
his biggest spells start popping out right here.
Yeah. So you basically just keep slinging spells, Disaster is not good to see. Oh yeah, you're in magic immune, never mind. We want to see that. So you can see how fast the high yellow waves just kind of disappear.
Alright, we're through. This is gonna be it,
All right,
guys.
and then with much like with Air Knight, Unavelza, when he's staggered, takes 500% damage from physical and magical. Now, we don't have Mikote dress here because it doesn't save that much time. So, once he's staggered, an internal timer of 1 minute happens. So, Unavelza's dead in the water for 1 minute, and then you go back to re-staggering him. So, 1 minute is more than enough time for us to kill him.
That is
Time. GG. First round.
GG, well played.